Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Jim Masters Show live entertainment lifestyle variety talk show series. How is everybody doing? It's so good to see your smiley faces. Although for some of you, we just saw you, 20 minutes ago? We just had our epic 2.5 hour live extravaganza 2-year anniversary celebration episode with special surprise guests, lots of video tributes, and all kinds of cool things. If you missed it, you can see it archived right here on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. Good to see all your smiley faces. Welcome to the show, gang. It's so nice to have you guys here. It is about 85 degrees and sunny right now where we are here on the East Coast of the United States. And we are in the New York area between New York and Boston along the southern New England coast. Really nice. Pretty soon I will be diving in that ocean. I can't wait. You guys know who watch all the time. I'm an ocean guy, swimming, surfing, boogie boarding, sailing it. You got to literally drag me out of the ocean. Grew up here on the coast. Love it. And we will be in it soon. And I cannot wait. Earlier today, before our epic anniversary extravaganza celebration, we were at the coast, which really is like 3 blocks from here. And we were cycling and walking and it was absolutely beautiful. And you know, it's nice. It's nice to see everybody out and about, because for such a long time, everybody was sort of cooped up in their homes and they didn't get a chance to really be out and about. We are so glad that we get a chance to be out and about and amongst everybody. And it's so nice to see you. If this is your first time watching, this is our Entertainment Lifestyle Variety Talk Show series. We started 2 years ago now, and we're approaching some 700 episodes. Wow. At the time of this episode today, which I truly can't believe. That is a lot of levity, and that is a lot of talking. We've got an amazing guest coming in from Los Angeles, California. He's waiting in the wings, saying hello to everybody. David Lotman is here. Brilliant actor, filmmaker, of course, starring in General Hospital, as well as Hunters on Prime, Angeline, and even the Car Gurus commercials. Yes, that is the guy that pulls up in the car, inside the living room, inside the office, wherever it may be. It's really, really a cool gig. But he's been in this for quite some time. In addition to acting in film and television, he has performed in theater, and he's appeared in over 100 commercials, including as that campaign spokesperson role for Car Gurus. David credits his father, Ben Lotman, for inspiring him to become an actor. Ben is most known for starring in the original Broadway production of Hair. That's right, from 1970 to 1974. David was born in Los Angeles, California, and of course, I mentioned General Hospital. Yep, you can see him now on General Hospital. You can also watch him on Amazon Prime's drama, Hunters, and the Peacock miniseries, Angeline. His passion for filmmaking and telling stories doesn't just stop in front of the camera. David is also an accomplished copywriter, director, and producer, having created commercial content for globally recognized brands like Nestle and Iams and Mattel and BetterHelp, Universal Pictures, and many more. He and his brother, Shimmy Lotman, operated 5516 Productions in Los Angeles, California for over 7 years, where they produced commercials and digital content for web, local cable, network, and national television broadcast. As a writer, David has been a member of the sketch comedy team Spoof Troupe since it started back in 2012, and since then, that has amassed over 41 million views, which is incredible. Together with founder Charles Dewandler, they have collaborated on hundreds of videos, short forms, and are currently developing a slew of feature film screenplays. Isn't that cool? But right now, most notable, of course, you guys know him from General Hospital and Angeline and so much more. We're really excited to have him here on the show, and we want to show you something first before we bring David on. You may recognize him in one of these current spots. Yes, that one. Isn't that incredible? There he is from Car Gurus. But take a look at this. This is something a little special we want to share with you. Again, you'll see him popping up in your living rooms probably and on your computers in the Car Gurus spots.
Car shopping in a meeting.
Yeah. Hey, how do I know this car is a great deal?
Because Car Gurus algorithm analyzes non-uniform data sets cross-referenced with API parameters.
You're funny.
May I? Mm-hmm. Sorry.
Yep.
Okay. See, Car Gurus takes the guesswork out. We factor in vehicle history, days on lot, even dealer reviews to make sure this car is a great deal.
Oh.
And only 30% of cars on CarGurus earn our highest ratings.
Stacy. Let's circle back.
CarGurus. Start your search, find your deal.
Looking for a car? He's the guy. He can point you in the right direction. And here he is. We pointed him in the direction of the Jim Masters Show. Hey, David, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hello. Wow. I right off the bat, what an amazing intro. I feel like, oh my God, so cool. I first off, right off the bat, I want to point out, I felt the vibe today was very, from the logo, very retro, very vintage Hawaiian. So, I got the pina colada pineapple.
Very
I got my
nice.
vintage shirt. And I didn't realize oh yeah, cheers.
Cheers. Yes. Welcome to the Jim Masters Show Live.
Woo,
Official
woo.
welcome. I've got my New York Mets wine goblet that our viewer Kathleen sent in. We're happy that the Mets are doing well, but I don't want to say any more because we will jinx them.
Right.
But you have something else there. You showed us that great
yeah.
Hawaiian. But look at the size of this thing.
Hold on, guys.
Look at the size of this thing he's got. He was sipping it. And I said, you got to show that on the show, David.
So yeah, normally I do. It's, I guess, to kind of like to kind of make sure that you drink the right amount of water per day. I just have this giant. This is how much you're supposed to drink, and I bring this with me everywhere, to the movie theaters, to set. I think yesterday I was on set, and everybody was just like, they couldn't keep their eyes off it. I'm like, bro, just get it on Amazon. It's like $20 or whatever. But yeah, it keeps you hydrated and healthy, but it is heavy.
It's so big. Do people actually stop you and say, is that really water in there, or is there vodka or something? It's so big.
Well, I got to say, if that was vodka, I think that would be really impressed that I would still be able to like be coherent and have sentences. So, but honestly, people stop me all the time. They're like, whoa, how much is that? Is that like a gallon? Truthfully, I don't know. All I know is that it's the right amount that you're supposed to be drinking every day. Yeah.
Yes.
But I wanted to say, I didn't realize this, but what was really cool in your intro was I found out we're really both cut from the same cloth. I mean, even though I grew up in LA, we're both like, water sports dudes. I grew up surfing, swimming, scuba diving, sailing, swim teams, water polo. And it's like, you're the same guy, which is no surprise that you got kind of like the vintage retro Hawaiian kind of vibe going on. And you literally have a wave behind you, right?
Yes, we do. Yeah, you mean up above? Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the ocean.
yeah.
Yeah, and we are just a couple of blocks from the ocean. Grew up here on the East Coast, and literally, I mean, I was saying that I was in Florida visiting family and in the ocean and swimming and doing our thing, and the family was packing up. They were getting ready to leave, and they said, "Okay, Jim, let's go. We're getting ready to pack up." And I said, "How come we're leaving?" They said, "Oh, because it's starting to rain." And I said, "Starting to rain? I'm in the ocean. I'm already wet. What's the?" They said, "No. It's starting to lightning and rain."
Oh.
So a little bit different. So do you do all that off the coast of LA?
Yeah, I mean, the surfing and stuff, like I grew up, like I think I was like 17 or 18 when I first started getting interested in surfing. I feel like being an LA native, it's kind of a requirement. It's a prerequisite that or at least attempt to surf, right? So I did. And I spent an entire summer on the beach learning to surf with the Malibu Makos. That was like the name of the surf school out of Malibu.
Cool.
And they run right out of Zuma Beach. In fact, I think what's kind of crazy is like, I think any time of year you can drive by Zuma Beach and you'll see their trucks, like just with all their equipment, just sitting there. Like they have like a permanent resident in that parking lot. But yeah, I love surfing and swimming, but when I was in college, that's when I kind of shifted over to the swimming pool. And we had I was on the swim team, but I did that all so that way I could be a stronger surfer, because it's like there's nothing worse than being out and it's like, and it's a beautiful day and it's just, and you want to keep on going.
Yes.
But you just get gassed, because it's like you're constantly paddling. It's just a cardio experience. So that's why in college I got on the swim team and I started taking it really seriously. But we actually had a similar thing where it would start raining while we're in the pool. And I had the same thought. I'm like, well, this is great. Like, why would I get out of the pool? And then coach is like, well, they think there might be lightning coming soon. So we're going to call it. We're going to call practice today. And I'm like, oh, man. Yeah, but we would swim for like maybe 4 hours a day, honestly. Like we would start in the morning, like maybe 6 a.m., like before the sun is up, we're jumping into the pool. And I got to say, that was always the hardest thing to do, is to jump in the pool. It's pitch black out, and like it's going to be cold, because the thing is, it's like an Olympic sized pool, and they keep it cold because they know you're going to be in there for 2 hours, and you're going to be sweating, and real it's a an extreme cardio experience. So if
Yes.
if it's not kept cold, you won't be able to last 2 hours. You'll overheat in the pool.
Right.
Um,
Exactly.
but yeah, so we
Wow.
would do like 2 hours in the morning and then 2 hours in the afternoon, and then we would go and like lift weights and stuff like that. And yeah, and this was back in college, so I don't necessarily have much of the definition anymore. But I think muscle memory. If I got back into a gym, I'd get which way's the beach, right? I'd get right back into it.
Which way's the beach, dude? Hey, man. Right.
This way, bro.
Exactly. That's funny. So obviously, I mentioned earlier in the introduction, your dad, obviously a legendary and epic performer as well. Your dad, Ben, really an inspiration for you and probably for your brother as well. Tell us about
Totally.
that. What was it like growing up, in the household where dad is, on Broadway and Hair? And so that would
Yeah.
mean that New York was part of the situation as well. Were you guys in LA and he in New York? How did that all work out?
So actually, by the time we were around, we had
He was
the rest of my
already
siblings. He already planted his feet in Los Angeles.
once.
So all
So
the New
he,
York stuff did happen previously.
yeah,
With that said, though, I still had the opportunity to catch him perform in LA. I was kind of lucky where they have hair reunions. So we would be able to see like other productions of it, and then obviously I also got to see my dad perform in different shows across LA as well. So, but yeah, I think definitely like he's been an inspiration for not just me, but my brother as well. My brother is a professional photographer. Like he works almost every single day, whether he's like photographing events, weddings, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, or special events, parties. But that's what like my dad, he was doing that simultaneously when he came to LA. In fact, the story is he had a wedding video, right? For when my mom and him got married, they had a wedding video, and it was like so bad. Like I don't know if like maybe like the lens was dirty, or like there was like the
mm,
camera. I think maybe even the lens cap may have been
that's
on for most of the
that's
video.
a
So my
once in
dad's
a
like,
lifetime moment
yeah.
there. You can't redo it.
So my dad's like, he vowed to make sure this doesn't happen to anybody else. So he started doing that on the side, wedding videography, and then that's what my brother was inspired by him to do that, and then I took the acting side. So we're both kind of trying to be him, I guess.
You're all right. Off your block, but you guys, I mean, you
Mhm.
in particular have an epic acting career, but also, a writer, copywriter, very involved in the advertising and marketing world.
Yeah.
Tell us how that sort of came into play for you as well. Imes, Nestle. I mean, you've worked on a
Right.
lot of incredible campaigns.
Yeah, totally. Well, so the way that happened was initially I was just focusing on acting, and my brother was approached by a friend who was starting a media company, and what they were doing, A&J Media Partners, they were working with small local businesses to get them advertising, right? So
Yeah.
this consisted of basic cable spots, digital content for their websites, and so this was kind of our opportunity to get into the advertising. And in fact, it was not my game plan getting in, right? I just thought like my focus was really acting, but then the path led me to production. And right off the bat, we started doing just a ton of like basic cable commercials, and it was a really cool opportunity to see your vision come like on paper. You're like revising it, and then eventually you see it on screen. That was really cool, but I think more importantly, it kind of gave me a lot of tools that I now see as an actor is super important. Like when I'm on set now, you can always tell when it's like an actor who like they're just an actor, right? Versus an actor who has had the production background. I feel like the actors that have the production background are a little bit more, I don't know how to say it, like maybe more well-rounded, maybe more appreciative and understanding of the technical side and just how much work goes into bringing a production to life. And I think when
Yeah.
you have that understanding, it makes you a better collaborator. So with that said, we started working with that media partner, media company together. And then we started working with another ad agency called Tongle, which is a crowdsourced studio based in Santa Monica. And that's where we got to work with a lot of more recognizable brands, globally recognizable. And that was an amazing experience, to get to produce content for them and direct it and write it. And like, just like an actor, I would have to get on the phone, with the agency, with the
Mhm.
client, and still pitch what my idea is to bring their commercial to life. So I think, yeah, all in all, it prepares me for my future, which is like, I see myself as being a series regular, and having like leading roles. And because, mostly I've been blessed to have like a lot of, when it comes to like film and television, more like character-y stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like supporting type of stuff. But to get the series regs and all that kind of stuff, I feel like this is something that gives me, those tools, especially when I was doing, when the spoof troupe stuff, you were talking about my sketch comedy
Yeah.
background. If I want to do, a sitcom, for example, like being able to write your own material, and or at least have that understanding and be able to work with the writer's room, I think it's so important. Um,
It is. Yes. I agree with you what you said about there's an advantage when you have the understanding of all aspects of the industry. Um, Being an on-air person myself as well, I've done a lot of different things behind the scenes in every different department, from production to sales to marketing to promotion to producing to writing, like you. And it really does give you a well-rounded appreciation of all the puzzle pieces and how it all works, as opposed to just being super razor sharp focused on the one task at hand that maybe is the main thing that you do. When you're touching upon all these different areas and these different departments within, it really does give you an appreciation of the people who also are part of that team, that village, to make it all happen. I would encourage anybody to, delve into other areas and expand their horizons if they're in any of these industries, because you never know too. I've been in so many situations where I'm here doing this, and then somebody falls off a chair, somebody's ill,
oh
something
wow, yeah.
happens, they don't show up. Hey, Jim, can you just run out there and just do it, or just help? And that happens a lot. So if you have some of the background understanding, you can really be quite valuable, right?
Totally. And, I think another big element of it too is people want collaborators and problem solvers to be surrounded by,
Yes.
right? As opposed to people that make problems. And to be honest,
Right.
I feel like if you don't have a full understanding of the process as an actor, if you're just razor sharp on that, like, you could potentially be part of the problem without even realizing it,
Right.
And it's like, it's not until you have that big picture look and understanding of the filmmaking process where you can see like, oh, this actor is making it more difficult for
Mhm.
production, whereas this one is a problem solver. And the
Right.
thing is, you hear all the time. I had this acting coach who told me that sometimes like he would be running a session, right, for a callback session for a commercial, right? And this was actually a big spot for Jack in the Box back in the day, right?
Oh,
This was
yeah.
Allison Horn Casting. They used to do all the Jack in the Box spots. And Killian McHugh, he was the guy that would be running session. And he told us in class one day, he's like, what happened was like they had a girl come in and she did a great job, right? She crushed the audition, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then she left. And now that's when everybody starts talking, right? About like, in between actors are like, okay. So the director turns to Killian and is like, okay, Killian, so tell me, is she cool?
Okay.
And Killian knew what he meant, right? And what he meant was like, can I hang out with this actor on set for like a week? If we're shooting in Mexico or in Hawaii, can I trust that she's not a freak and she's not gonna like,
Right.
so that's a big element of it. And he's like, you know what? To be honest, I don't really know her. Like I know like she's funny. I can tell you in the waiting room that, that she was pretty nice to everybody, but why don't we call the agent and find out? And now the agent, and it's interesting, like the agent you would think that the agent would be like, oh, the agent is totally going to say like, oh yeah, she's totally cool. But the truth is an agent isn't going to put their neck on the line for an
No.
actor
No.
that could be, a diva or something like
Right.
that, right? So
Right.
the agent, it's in their best interest to be honest and be like, she's a little crazy. Like she's, we've had some complaints, but she's normally good. It's like, just be honest about it, and I think it just, yeah. I mean, but to recap, I think it all comes down to if you're a collaborator and a problem solver, that's the type of person people want to be surrounded by, not people that are making problems. You'd think it'd be common sense, right? But it's not always. It's not always. In fact, I was just talking
True.
about this the other day, but one of the things that I recommend to people, to actors that are like new to the industry and are trying to break in, I'm like, you know what? If you haven't done anything, what's super important is to do background work, do extra work. That's how I started. And the part of the reason why is for me, I think it desensitizes you to the chaos and all the craziness happening on set, because a film set, there's so many moving parts and there's gaffers and there's people walking around and it can be very distracting. And you can always spot the actor who it's like their first time on set, because it can be overwhelming, right? And it's like, they're like, okay, and let's bring in Slate, last looks. And then so now they're the cameras are rolling, makeup is flying in, hair, they're adjusting your wardrobe. It's like, there's 7 people in your face. And then the sound guy is like, hey, by the way, you need to do that a little quieter. And then the camera department is like, hey, you shifted from your mark a little bit, so stand right over here. And then the DP is like, hey, but actually, don't move too much because we need you to be still, right? So it's like you're getting notes from nearly every department. And then the director's like, oh yeah, and that's great, but just do it a little faster, right? Let's get the pace up, some more energy. And it's like, dude, that can be a lot, right? And then you throw on stuff like with Car Gurus, where now you're like driving cars and there's like precision driving involved. It can be a lot. So and then on top of that, now you have this whole lingo. It's almost a different language on a film set.
It
right?
is.
You don't just say like, I'm going to the bathroom. It's like 10-100. I got a 10-100. It's all these like like radio call signs and whatnot.
Yeah.
So
have you been
do extra
on
work.
I was going to say, have you been on commercials too? I've been on a lot of commercials here on the East Coast. You like spokesperson or other roles, the guy next door, the friend, the doctor, whatever it may be. It's really cool. And some of them will say at the end, when they like the shot, when the shot is it's golden, it's in the can, they'll say, that's a buy. Have you heard that? Because I know I hear that a lot here. That's a buy, meaning good. We got it. That's a buy.
Yeah, I've heard different. Yeah. I've definitely heard that. Not as common as like, let's print that or something like that, or or we got it, or the martini. I know like martini shot means like that's the last setup and the last shot. So so that's you always are waiting to hear like is this a martini setup? That's what like the crew is always excited. Like, this is a martini. No, okay, damn it.
Right.
And I think that goes to the old school back when it used to be the last shot. Like they would literally have like martinis to celebrate the end of production. Yeah.
Do you recall one of the longest shoots you've ever been on? I know I was on one that was almost 15 hours, and it was for a major television and appliance chain in the New York area. And it was because we went in around 9:00 at night when the store was closed. So of course, everybody was playing the role of the customers and of the salespeople, but it was the moving of the refrigerators, washers, dryers, the equipment around to get all the different shots. And the director wanted to make sure while everybody was there, all the cast, the production, and those hours that we had, that window to be able to capture it in between before the store opens up again in the morning, to get as many angles, as many shots as possible in the can while we could. So I said almost 15 hours for a series of 30-second commercials. People don't realize what goes into it, but as being in it, it could be quite intense.
That's crazy. Yeah, I would say, I can't necessarily pinpoint one time because, to be honest, it really flies by for me. Like there's honestly nowhere else I'd rather be than on a film set. So it does fly by. Even though, now I will say, now with that said, I remember when I shot Hunters, I was on set for about 2 weeks over the course of like 2 months. So it was kind of, the shoot dates were spread around. And I will say that there was one day on set where I was like looking forward to the scene. And what ended up happening was I was there for, I think it was a similar thing, like maybe like 13, 14, 15 hours.
Yeah.
But I was just in my trailer the entire day. And then finally they said, you know what? that's a wrap for today. It's like, and I never went to set, and I was like, oh man, that's crazy. Like that's when it feels long, is when you're just waiting to go to set and you're just stuck in your trailer. I don't like
Yeah.
being cooped up in my trailer. Like I want to
No.
be on set watching stuff and learning because
Yeah.
I'm honestly, I feel like I'm a sponge, and
Yes.
because I have
Soaking
both
it all up.
sides to me. Yeah, it's something I love, but because I enjoy the filmmaking side, I'm like, I do amateur like film photography too. I love seeing like how a DP approaches each scene. Like, how are they going to light this?
It's cool,
And
isn't
then,
it?
it's super cool. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean that's why I'd rather be there on set. And then, you get to watch like the other actors and see the other thing to that too is like you get like you pick up on a vibe of like, okay, how like what is the experience like on this set? Because
Yeah,
each set, to be honest, has like its own personality. And
it
I think
does.
it stems from the director. Like I
Yes.
think the director and the production company, they really set the tone for what the mood and character is like on that set. And each
Yeah.
one is definitely different. Some are like crazy, where it's like super strict, and it's like,
Yes.
yeah, every take
Let's go,
you
let's
feel
go.
like,
Come on.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, detail oriented. Like, nope, that was like 1 degree off. Like, let's, we need a 1% correction. And other
Yes.
takes are like super loose, where it's like, yeah, let's do another one. I mean, what do you think? Like, yeah, you have any funny ideas? Okay, yeah, let's do that. That's kind of
Now,
like
how do you
the
describe
vibe.
yourself? Are you more like the looser, okay, or are you very exacting when you're doing your thing?
Well, I would say that what's important for an actor is to be able to do both. In fact, you need to be able to have both sides do. So you have to be able to collaborate. This is going back to collaboration. Be able to work with a director who is very precise. Because I'm a Virgo. Left-hander. I'm very detail oriented, so I can understand and
You too?
appreciate when a
Vir
director. Yep. Are
Virgo
you a lefty?
rising,
Oh my
left-handed,
god. Oh my god.
left-handed. Got your
Oh,
left.
yeah. Yeah, boom.
I'm a Libra with Virgo rising,
Oh my gosh.
but my whole
Yeah.
family's left. Parents, sister, me, everybody's left. Our dog, we would train to always give the left paw.
I
And
love
we were
that.
family when we would get a new refrigerator that would have them switch the door so it would open from the left
Oh my god.
because the
That
whole
is
family
amazing.
left.
See, mine
Yeah,
doesn't do that. Yeah, mine goes to the
yours
right.
doesn't
I
do
gotta
that.
swap sides somehow. I don't know. I
You
gotta
gotta make
figure
a
that
phone
out.
call or two. Yeah.
Right.
But so
But
Virgo, so do
yeah.
you like things in order? Are you Virgos tend to some things
Oh,
orderly, neat,
being
and
detail oriented, definitely. Yeah,
yeah,
it's kind of I need all my ducks in a row. And in fact, like that's the thing is like chaos can be tricky for me. Like I need to organize things, and I think that's just like, oh, let's hear it for Virgos. Woo
sure,
woo. I just saw in the live
yeah,
chat, someone's like,
that's it.
Virgos. But yeah, so I mean, like I was saying, I can relate to directors that are demanding of like that precision, which reminds me of a guy like a Stanley Kubrick. Right.
Yes,
He's a guy known to do like 100 takes, right? Because
yes,
it's not right.
it's got to
Um,
be right.
I can understand it. Like obviously, that kind of sucks to be on that set and like work on one shot for like how long would it take to do 100 takes of a scene? Like probably that like 6 hours, I would imagine. It's like I think as an actor you might get bored, but yeah, I think my preference would be more of the loose stuff. I like kind of putting my own spin on it and just having where there is that trust to be like, oh, you know what, kind of bring some of your own. But to put back the producer and directing hat on for a second, you also have to understand that you are working with an ad agency, you're working with a client with one goal in mind, and that's to sell product. So it's not, even though like I might be the personality that's being used to funnel this concept through, I still have to be saying the things that really connect with the branding. So you can never, like, the product is always the most important. So with that said, even though I might be putting my own spin on things, like that's not an ever at the sacrifice of the product.
The
Because,
product
and,
is the star.
exactly. Like,
Yeah,
the burger in a Burger King commercial is going to be the burger in the Burger King commercial for the next like 1,000 years or for however long Burger King is around. And, David Lotman's, I don't know how long they live, but if it was 1,000 years, I'd be quite impressed. But typically, according to the human experience, it's not.
you know who we had on the show not that long ago, actually, and he was in some of those original early Jack in the Box commercials. Rodney Allen Rippey.
Okay.
Remember
So
him? He was
Rodney,
he was on an episode of The Odd Couple too.
oh,
It
okay.
turned
Old
out that
school.
he was the landlord for Oscar Madison and Felix Unger's building. This little kid.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
One of the originals, and he lives out there in LA. He's a nice guy, great actor.
And is he's still doing his thing?
Actually, there's been talks to do a retro situation and bring him back now. I think there were times where he came back, as like a teenager and what have you, because he was a little kid when they had him eating that big hamburger. It was really cute. The commercials. I think you can see them on YouTube. Yeah. But I think they've done a few retro things. And they've talked about doing a few more with him, which is kind of cool. A friend of mine was the guy who did the Verizon commercials. Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah,
and he's an actor and a producer and all here on the East Coast, and he did it for about 11 years. And then when sometimes you do something for a certain amount of time, and then they make some changes, so they wanted to revamp. So Sprint, I think, or MCI, one of them, they hired him. Right. And he was dressed the same way with the glasses. And now I think the line he says, "Can you still hear me now?"
Right. I just shot a Mountain Dew commercial with the same with the wardrobe department. And I think wardrobe and maybe even makeup too. Like they were the ones that were constant, like they were his guy. So and they were telling me that he's super cool and just like the most down to earth guy you would ever meet, and which is like really cool to hear, because I mean that guy has every reason to not be, right? I mean, like everybody probably around the world globally knows his face. He's the Verizon guy. Can you hear me now? Everybody knows that campaign.
Can you hear me now?
But yeah, from what they were telling me, like he was the sweetest guy, and I guess they got to work with him on the entire campaign.
On the entire campaign. Cool. Exactly, which is rare too, to be able to do that and to have that opportunity. So you, before we talk about some of the cool things you're doing now, what was one of the first things that really got things going for you early on, as a kid wanting to do this kind of work, being there in LA? So the exposure is there, just like being here, New York would be the exposure for you. Right. What was one of the first key opportunities that came your way, David?
What's interesting? I think this goes back to one of my buddies, Dan White, who I believe was on your show. I think you interviewed him because he was also on General Hospital.
Awesome played, guy.
He played Elijah Wood for General Hospital.
Right.
Fans. So I think it really goes back to Dan White. I was doing theater at Los Angeles Valley College, and there was this one particular. So first off, in college, that's when I started to get serious about about taking the whole acting thing. The last time I had done theater was in middle school, and I did Macbeth, where I played the drunken porter, and that was like what gave me my first like acting bug and taste of the magic of being a performer. And I remember it was like I must have been this little kid in front of a classroom filled with other students and teachers and parents, and I'm playing this drunk porter, right? Who like he opens the gate, and I just remember like being drunk, like pretending to be drunk, and just everybody cracking up. And that was like that feeling. It was like ecstasy. It was like, and that was what gave me that first initial taste of the acting bug. But it wasn't until college where then I started taking it seriously. And by the way, actually, fun fact, was the guy that directed my very first play. He worked with Mel Brooks on the movie Dracula Dead and Loving It, because he was an English teacher and writer. Stephen Haberman, that was his name. And so he was my middle school English teacher. And as a little Jewish boy, I was like, Mel Brooks was like my idol. I loved all of his movies. Just everything he did, I watched. And so to be in a class taught by Stephen Haberman, who like was a close collaborator with Mel Brooks, was huge. And then the first play I ever did. But yeah, so now fast forwarding back to college, I signed up in college for every show. I auditioned for every show that was going on. I was in the acting classes, the theater appreciation, like theater history classes, stagecraft classes, because I was pursuing the theater degree. And that's when I met Dan White in a little show written by David Lindsay Abaire, directed by Kathy Susan Piles, Rabbit Hole. right? And this was if people have seen the movie or the play, they know it's a very dramatic piece. And in it, I played Jason Willett, he's just like your average high school student who one day, he's driving home from school and he is like distracted and he doesn't see that this little kid runs into the street chasing his dog and runs over this boy, killing him, right? So Dan White played the father of this kid, Jason Willett, and Jason Willett was my character's name, not the boy. But anyways, in this show, we worked together, and Kathy, she had us do like these really intense acting exercises together, including I have a monologue where I express to the father, or I express my feelings about accidentally, murdering this little child. And, what Kathy had us do was a very visceral type of exercise where I had to stand back to back with Dan and tell this monologue, right? This very dramatic monologue about my feelings and like how sorry I feel and, my condolences. And then after we did that, we swapped around and now we were face to face, like literally inches away from each other. And I had to confront the father of the child I just accidentally murdered about what I did and how sorry I am and how this has been really difficult on me. And I can't even imagine the loss that you guys are going through. And this was their only child, to make it worse. So I had to do that face to face with Dan. And it was hard. It was like, now in the actual show, that monologue is just set out to the open. Like Dan is not on stage for that. I just say that to the audience. Right.
Right.
But in that acting exercise, it was face to face. And I couldn't do it without just like completely bawling my eyes out because of just that intimacy of being right in the man's face.
Absolutely.
So I really credit Kathy for that. And I remember after that scene in that acting exercise, I think that was like maybe the moment where Dan's like, man, this guy's good. I want to keep him around. And
exactly.
So the reason why I bring that up is because Dan is the guy that brought me to aboard the next project he did. The next project was kind of a bigger deal for me because it was a show called Pulp Shakespeare, which was Pulp Fiction, Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction, as if told by William Shakespeare, set like in Elizabethan England and everything. And that show ran for like a year or two, and I traveled with it from Los Angeles to New York. We played at the Cherry Lane Theater, the Soho Playhouse. So that was a huge opportunity for me to really like get to do like 100 performances of a show or so. And that's when I started to get some exposure, which was really
great training too.
But also that, and that's what I look at it is like, that was an intense training ground to be there doing live shows every day in front of an audience. And right away, that's what I love about theater is like, right away whether or not the audience is accepting this performance or rejecting it, like instantly. And there's no better training than that, I think. I mean, like I've taken classes all over LA with different coaches and whatnot, and I love them. I've learned a lot, but I think sometimes these classes are designed to keep you in the seats, right? And to keep you in the acting class. My mentality is always like to get dirty, take things apart, and just go and do it. So that was for me, that was that experience. The reason why I was doing that show like 100 times, 100 performances, and we went all over LA and then all over New York was because I wanted to get my hands dirty and really start playing, in the playground, get mud on myself, make mistakes, get bruised up, and have fun and successes. So that show was pretty much sold out every showing. And part of the reason why is because of the appeal, right? You have Shakespeare is never going to not be important. People are always going to appreciate his work. And then Tarantino, from a filmmaking standpoint, is one of the most respected filmmakers. So you combine those two, there's actually a lot of similarities. Like Shakespeare and Tarantino, they're both pretty violent, right? They both are great at comedy. They're both very bloody. And also they both are kind of verbose speakers, right? Like Tarantino's, all his characters, they have like long monologues. Well, Shakespeare almost invented that, I feel like. So that was a huge opportunity for me. And that connects with Dan. And in fact, when I got cast on General Hospital, Dan was the first guy that I called because I needed to get the lowdown of like, hey, what do I expect? Like, cause he did, I believe, 19 episodes of the show.
Yes.
So when I got So when I got cast, I was like, okay, I'm gonna call up Dan. I'm gonna get kind of the lowdown. Like, what do I expect? Like, is it a like, because you always hear that, like, oh, maybe they kind of move quick. Well,
Yes.
moving quick is an understatement. I mean, it's like you need to approach it like theater. And that's what Dan told me. Is like, you need to know your stuff inside and out, be so prepped that you're ready to go in one take. Like in the filmmaking industry, they call it a one take wonder, where it's like where you do one take and the director's like, perfect. Let's move on.
That's good.
Like
Yeah.
that doesn't always happen in the
No.
film and TV industry, but in
No.
soaps, like they're expecting one take wonders every time. And the truth is, if it's not perfect, they'll generally move on as long as it's good enough.
Yes.
So bring your game so that way, if they do move on, it wasn't too bad. So I really approached it, or I have been approaching it like theater, thanks to Dan's kind of, advice and whatnot.
So had you been a fan of the soap operas? Did you watch some of the soap operas? How did the whole soap opera thing develop for you? I mean, because once you get into a role on a soap opera, as you know, the soap operas, many of them have been around for decades, but also the
Right.
fans are incredibly loyal. They know
Yeah.
everything. They can even sometimes write in and tell you who you should be marrying and dating and where you should live.
Oh my
and
God. Yeah.
what car you should drive, and don't be friends with him because I don't like
Right.
him. And
Oh my God.
that's just
The
on one
fans-
episode they can do that.
Right. Of course. The fans are amazing and they're already setting me up. They're shipping me with different characters. I think that's the term, shipping, like when you see
Yeah.
two characters together. I
Yeah.
learned that recently. But yes, to answer your question, I would say that I didn't necessarily know that soap operas was going to be it's something that I do. And that's one of the most exciting things about being an actor is you never know what you're going to get cast in. And that's what's so exciting about it, is that I think, honestly, whatever happens, like I'd be cool with, like, if it was just like voiceover, the voiceover world where I popped, like that'd be cool. Like as long as I got to act, there's some things about voiceover that is more exciting in certain ways where you don't have to dress up. It doesn't matter if like your hair or your beard is like sloppy, like they're not going to hear that. All they hear is your voice. So it's about keeping your voice ready and in tip-top shape. But yeah, that's what happened, is that I got into the soaps, and that was honestly my first experience as far as acting on a soap. Now, what's kind of interesting is this, going back to college for a second, my first experience with soaps or soap royalty off screen was in college. I dated this girl that I met in my psychology class, and she was a really sweet girl named Elizabeth. And we started dating. It got pretty serious. And I remember, like, I really didn't know soap operas at all, right? And I was chilling at her house, and I knew something was up because they had like a $16 million mansion in Beverly Hills, like literally 90210 zip code. And I remember, one night we were just like watching TV or something, and her mom comes in and she takes my girlfriend's purse and starts like ruffling through it and says like, "Oh, you look a little low." And so she starts taking out like maybe like $300 or $400 bills and stuffs it into her purse. And I was like, wait, what is going on? And I was like, okay, allowance. When I was a kid, I was lucky if I got $20 a week or something, and she just got like
Yes.
an entire, like, what was that, like 5 years worth of allowance in one sitting? I was like, what is
Yes.
going on
And
here?
20
So
bucks was mowing the lawn, washing the cars, taking the garbage out, and walking the dog for the
Right,
20
right.
bucks.
Right. So yeah, I mean, back then kids used to earn their allowance.
You would
Nowadays
actually
it's like, yeah.
just
But I think this is also a special case because like this was, maybe like 10, I don't want to date myself, and I don't know exactly how many years ago, but it wasn't too long ago
yeah.
when this happened. And so still that didn't necessarily clue me into what was going on. It wasn't until like maybe a little bit later, another day I was there and I was like, I was thirsty one night, and during the daytime, navigating a mansion can be easy, right? But at night, when the lights are off, a lot more
Ooh,
tricky, right? There's
yeah.
staircases or labyrinths, different hallways and passageways. So I
Yeah.
remember being like, "Hey, I'm gonna go downstairs, grab some water. Do you want anything?" She's like, "No, I'm good." So I go searching, searching for the kitchen, right, to go grab a bottle of water. And that's when, like, I'm making wrong turns. I'm like, yeah, this is for sure not the right way. And then all of a sudden, I stumble into a room that evidently is just a trophy room, right? And so I look, I'm like, what the heck is this? And now I see like daytime Emmys, all sorts of like awards and acknowledgments and, you know, all like trophies just everywhere. And then I look closer, I'm like, oh, okay. Like that's when I started putting two and two together.
Yeah.
So come to find out that her mom is Melody Thomas Scott, who starred on Young and the Restless for like maybe like 40, 50 years, like
At least.
thousands of episodes
Yes.
as Nikki Reed. And her
Nikki,
dad,
sure.
yeah, Nikki, yeah. And then
Yeah.
her dad is Thomas J. Scott, producer of like The Bold and the Beautiful, Days of Our Lives, obviously Young and the Restless too. So then it was funny because after that, then I was like walking to the house one day, and then I'd see him just chilling on the sofa watching dailies of like The Bold and the Beautiful or something. Or, I don't know which soap it was, but I would just see him watching and be like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. This is kind of cool. I had no idea that this is what was going on when I first started dating the family or the girl, but it was really cool because then you flash
Dating the
forward,
family,
like,
yeah.
yeah, dating the family. Well, I say that because they were the sweetest family. Like she
Yeah.
had two other sisters, just amazing people. And they also invited me. I went down with them to this huge, like soap opera star-studded wedding in Santa Barbara. That was at like the Four Seasons Hotel, and we had our own room at the Four Seasons. And then I guess it was Melody's makeup artist who got married. So we went down there for the wedding. We drove down, and it was just like an amazing time. So that was honestly my first experience with soaps, right? Soap royalty, and I had no idea what to expect and everything. But I think had I seen soaps before that, I probably would have been like maybe starstruck or something like that because she is like such an influential actor in the
Oh,
soap opera
yeah.
world. But yeah, and then to bring it back to my personal experience as far as like from the acting side, I always looked up to soap stars because what they have to do is insane. They
It's
get
incredible.
so many pages.
Scripts like this. I mean, yeah. And
One
these
take.
episodes are 5 days a week. It's not once a week
Yeah.
and if you're in an ongoing scene, you can be, yeah. So what was that
Yeah.
like when the call came, when they said, you're going to be on General Hospital? That had to be very cool.
It was really cool. So my manager, Michael, first of all, we're really close friends. And we go to movies every single
Wow.
weekend together. And then
Cool.
other actors that he reps, like they sometimes will come with us.
Great
But yeah,
idea.
we'll watch like 2-3 movies every single weekend to kind of keep on top of everything. But also we're just students of the craft. Like we love, that's my personal feeling, is to just always be a student of your craft. Like watch everything if you can. I know a lot of actors don't think that way. And they're like, oh, no, I don't watch anything. I just audition. I just act. I don't even watch the movies I'm in. I'm the opposite. I want to watch everything, consume everything.
Me too.
I just struggle sometimes to have the time to do it. It's just, there's so much stuff out there and
Do you
that much time.
do you like right away everything that you do? Meaning, you might have just nailed something and then it comes on TV and you see it and you're like, or in a film or what have you, a commercial, and everybody else is saying it was fantastic. You nailed it. It was great. Are you easy on yourself, hard on yourself? Do you like it right away? Like for me, I don't always like what I do as soon as I've done it, even though everybody else is saying it was spot on. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
You nailed it. It was great. Bravo. I need some time, I think, to detach from the emotional investment I made in it, the expectation that I've set up for it, to really appreciate what everybody else is saying. So I need some time away from it to then have it come on the screen for me to say, you know what, that actually under those conditions with that level of experience or whatever,
You did well.
they were pretty good, right?
Yeah.
How about
Oh,
you?
totally.
Do you like stuff right away that you do, or does it take time for you to process and detach?
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny you asked that because I think as I've gotten older, I've gotten a lot better about that. I think when I was younger, I was like very, being that I'm like attention oriented, like very detail oriented and like almost OCD about stuff. And
Sure.
having being a Virgo, it's like that's kind of like part of the trait, is like to be really detail oriented and like you need
Yes.
things perfect, right? When I was younger, yeah, I think so. I was like, but as I've gotten older, I realized like, I kind of let go and I'm understanding of like, well, in that situation, this is the best. I did the best work I could in that moment. And also, I think a huge part of this craft, and I think part of like leveling up, is understanding that it's going back to collaboration. It's like, this isn't my project. I am someone else's tool. So If I was editing it, would I have used that take? No, I would have used a different take where I looked better or where it was better. But this is not my project. So it's like understanding that you are servicing them. So with that said, at the end of the day, like once I think that you have that mentality shift where like it's not about you, like you are a tool being used for the
Right.
filmmaking experience, then you
Right.
start to have more success because you realize like you don't get attached to it. And you're like, hey, that's what they're going for. That's what they want. So like cool.
Will
with
you
that
watch
said,
things? Because I know sometimes there are some actors who will do epic movies, and then in an interview or conversation will say, "Nope, I never saw the movie. I mean, the movie's a blockbuster, and they never saw the movie. They're
mhm.
now on to the next project, the next gig." How about you? Will you see your work? For me, I'll look at my work or listen to my work as part of a critiquing, learning, perfecting, fine-tuning,
Same.
as yeah, not just to say, "Hey, look at me." It's more of what could I have done differently? Or, gee, that actually was good. I'll try to do that again.
Oh
But
yeah.
some people don't look at their stuff. Will you use it as a learning experience and watch things that you've been in?
Oh my God, 1,000% yes. So to be clear, I look at it as a learning experience. We're as
Right,
humans, like we're always evolving and learning. So
right.
to take yourself out of it, I don't know. So like I don't want to be judgmental over that because I know a lot of actors feel that way. But
Yeah,
personally, for me and my experience, like that is how I improve. That's how I evolve and get to the next level.
yeah.
So I will watch everything, and I will have opinions, about like what I did, and certain things I'll be like, okay, that works. That's something that I can put in the tool belt or whatnot and use for next time.
Mhm.
And what's interesting is like this kind of comes back to the like right now because of COVID, there's this huge self-taping situation going
Yeah,
on where
absolutely,
actors
yes.
actors are
Yeah.
putting themselves on tape for everything. And with that said, it's like now you have an opportunity to be more in control, right? And
Yes.
also more of a learning opportunity because typically the way it used to be is you would go into the studio, you'd get on tape, you get one take, which is also similar to the theater and the whole soap opera thing. You typically get one take, and for TV and film, it's like they typically will be like they have so much trust for you as an actor, like, and if you make a choice that's weird that they think is bad, they'll kind of be like, generally they'll be like, okay, all right, thank you, and it's like, and they assume that that's what you intended to do. But nowadays, if that's not what you wanted, you can learn by playing it back and be like, oh no, like let's redo that. you know Sometimes it can get overboard if actors do like 15, 20, 30, 40,
Yeah,
50, 100 takes. It's like, come on guys. Like
yeah.
I think what ends up happening is when you get to a certain level, there's just such a large volume of tapes that you got to be pumping out, that
Yes.
you just don't have the time to do it
To do
anymore.
it all. Yeah.
But even before that, I think to even get to that level where you're getting so many tapes that you don't have time to do 100 and you just naturally are doing like two or three tops, I think it's that whole thing of letting go and being like, look, this isn't going to be perfect. We're humans. We make mistakes. I'm just going to do the best I can right now. And that's enough. Like prep,
Mhm.
do the homework before you get on tape, do
Mhm.
all your actor work, the homework, put yourself on tape, do a couple takes, choose the best one to move on,
That's
and then,
right.
and the most important, let go. Like, just like
That's key. That's a
I
key
used to play.
thing.
I used to play that song like "Let It Go," da, da,
Let
yeah,
it Yeah.
right, "Let It
From
Go,"
Frozen?
from Frozen, yeah,
From Frozen, yeah.
and then I would play that and until I didn't need to anymore, and now it's like I do. In fact, sometimes when I book roles or get put on a veil, I'm like, "Wait, what job is this?" Like I literally forget because I've moved on. I did the work and I'm ready. And obviously, as soon as like they say it, and then I'm like, wait, okay, is that the one? Okay, that was the one with the with like the computer guy. Okay, I remember. Okay, it takes me a second to get back because it's like as an actor to get to a level where you're consistently working, you can't be attached. And it's like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think being detached in certain ways makes you more magnetic for some
Yeah.
reason. Like people are like, wait, what is going
Yeah.
on here? And the,
Right.
the
Right.
analogy that I always give is if you take, I don't know if anybody has ever adopted an animal before. If you haven't, you should.
Yes.
And in
Yes.
fact,
We have.
maybe just for this actor lesson. So when you go to like a cat adoption center, you walk in and you see all these cages like from the front to the back, and each cage is like filled with like a different cat, right? An
Mhm.
interesting cat. There's like hundreds of cats. But as you walk in, all the cats know what's going on. The cats see you. They know someone is going home. They're not dumb. Someone is going to get a check today. Someone's booking the acting job, right?
Yeah,
So,
right.
right. So someone's going home. So what do the cats do is like they invariably they stick their paws out of the cages and they try and get at you, and they scratch and they claw, and thinking that this is going to grab, like they need to go home with you, right? But now, and you see that, and it's like you're looking at all the cats and you see they're like coming at you, but then all of a sudden you kind of you clock this cat in the back,
Just
and
sitting
he's
there
like
quietly.
he's smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
He's chill. He's a chill cat. He doesn't seem
Like,
to care
been-
one way or
been there,
another if he
done
goes
that.
home with
Yeah.
you, right?
Right.
Been there. Yeah, I've been in a human's home before, you know. And it's like, I want that cat. I want to take that cat home with me. So that's, I think, the lesson is that it's like if you're detached from it, that has a magnetic, attracting type of quality to it.
Yeah.
So you want to do that in your work. So, and the thing is, when actors, and how does that manifest itself in an actor's audition tape? I need this job, like this booking would take me to the next level, or this commercial, this spokesperson campaign would pay my rent for the next
This is the
year or
one.
two.
Yeah.
Right? This is the one. This is the one. It's like, no. That is going to kill your auditions, because the thing is, what you have to realize is that these casting directors, like guys like Mark Teschner, who's the casting director for General Hospital, Lisa Booth, they see hundreds of tapes all the time. And within a second, they can clock an actor that wants it and doesn't want it. It's a subtle thing that you
Yes.
cannot put your finger on it, but it's an energy and it's a vibe, and
Yeah.
they see it. So
They
the
got it.
second you separate it from just your experience, the better off you are.
How do you handle a role that's really, really intense? I've asked a couple of guests that have come through. You know, sometimes a role is so intense that you're living it, you're breathing it 24/7, even when you're not on set. And sometimes for some actors and actresses, it's difficult to even detach between David and the role that they're playing, because the intensity and how much it draws out of you and demands of you is of really strong, deep levels. How do you learn to
Yeah.
deal with a role that really is intense, emotional, maybe even a real life story that you're involved in, and you gotta nail it, but at the same time, you still have to be David. How do you, because there's elements of
Yeah.
David obviously sprinkled into every role.
Oh, totally.
How do you detach and work through a really intense situation like that?
No, I mean, that is a fantastic question, and I think that every actor has to kind of figure this out on their own, because it's like not one technique is necessarily going to work for everybody. That's why there's so many different styles. You've got method, you've got Meisner, right? So I think for me, like, when you were talking about that, what it brought up in my memory were a couple roles. The first one was a movie called Live in Fear, which was a horror film we shot up in Utah, a horror feature where I played a murderer. Like I murder my own mother, chop her up into pieces, put her in a suitcase. Okay, bear with me, and then go with my friends on a trip to the snowy mountains, right? Because like, where else would you go after you chopped up your mom, right? So that was one intense, crazy role. And then the other one was a PSA for the Los Angeles Sheriff County Department. And yeah, that one it was a PSA for how to survive a school shooting. And I played the school shooter in it. And both these roles were super intense. I would say, first off, I did some homework on both characters as far as like what would drive a man to disembody another person, and then his own mom, right? And then on the other spectrum, like what would drive a man to go and murder people, like in cold blood in school, like their fellow college students, right? So, I looked at the Columbine stuff, and it was honest, like that stuff is so heavy, and it's so hard to learn about, because it's sad. It's frankly
Yeah.
very sad and depressing, but that's the role. And
the
that's
role,
what we
yeah.
sign up for an actor. And in some ways, that's what's really interesting about our craft. It's like no other craft are you necessarily going to be like, is that going to be part of your job, is to like really try and put on someone else's skin, right? And specifically, I can remember, I tell this story to people like just because it's so spooky, but I remember one of the first scenes I did for the PSA. uh, was me. It's a scene where it starts off with me sitting on a bench. I've got a sawed-off shotgun and a duffel bag, right? Inside the duffel bag, I've got like, a semi-automatic handgun and another weapon. And so what I do is like, I'm just sitting there, and out of nowhere, I take out the shotgun, boom, blast away this other kid. We're sitting right in front of the library. So I blast him away. And then I start running into the library. I take out, I think I do a couple more blasts with the shotgun, shooting other people on the way. And then once I'm inside the library, that's when it got spooky, because then I took out the handgun, right? I think I dropped the shotgun on the floor, take out the handgun, and now I start shooting at college students and actors portraying college students in the library, right? And they all had these, they're called squibs, right? So a squib is an actual explosive that an actor is wearing, and it's filled with a blood pack. So what happens is it actually blows a hole through the clothes, right? And blood squirts out, and it's super scary. Like, as an actor, that experience was insane, because here I am, like, I'm going in, and it felt like a video game, a surreal video game, where I'm like, I'm not just shooting at one actor, but there were like maybe 10 different actors with squibs on. I'm like, boom, 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 boom. And then like I run out of bullets. I got a new clip, and these people are flying back, right? And I almost fell. They're flying back, and then you see blood squirting. So it was so surreal because of how real it felt for me. And I physically couldn't aim my gun at I literally had to go just an inch off, just in case. I mean, we had the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department was there, and they were like, the armory, they were making sure that each, weapon is loaded properly, but you never freaking know. I mean, if you look at Rust, like, mistakes happen and people die. So you can't be too careful. And it's like, it was such an intense experience that to this day, it's something that sometimes I think about, like, because I felt like I was really a killer, seeing these bodies flying in front of me like I was in a video game. It was the most surreal process. And to answer your question, though, about how I deal with it, is like, you do the best you can to separate it. And I think like anything else, it's like, if you're getting over a breakup or anything, it's similar. It's not too dissimilar from that, where it's like, you just need to get your mind on other things, and eventually time will let it disappear. And, but I think it's always going to be there. I don't think you're ever going to completely shed it completely. I think it's always going to be part of you. And in fact, I remember when I did the movie Live in Fear, which I think they changed the title to Consumption.
Yes. Consumption. Yep.
Yeah. When I came back from filming that movie, my buddy, he told me, like, you're a little different. And I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah, you're like maybe like a little bit more serious or something. I'm like, I mean, what I had to do out there was crazy. I was running around in the snow, murdering people, and after I had already murdered my own mom, it was crazy. So I think, whether we like it or not, these roles do leave an imprint on us, for better or for worse. And truthfully, I just see it as making you a more well-rounded performer. You have more life experience, learning. I don't think ever learning and educating yourself about all walks of life is ever a bad thing. Right. Yes. I think when you get into a problem is when you start the morality line shifts, and it's like, oh, you start to not see, like, oh, this person isn't that bad. Wait, you're talking about Jeffrey Dahmer, like a murderer, like a serial killer? Okay.
Right.
It's like, no, well, when you get really attached and you're looking at their life story, like, oh, wow, look what happened to him. Right. I had this, I don't remember where I heard this, but I think a friend told me that the difference between a hero and a villain is very subtle. They're pretty much the same exact person. Like, a villain is always portrayed with like a scar, right? And it's like, so you see, like, oh, backstory, like they had a troubled youth or troubled childhood, troubled back, right? Well, the thing is, a hero also has a troubled backstory, right? They always have some kind of things that have happened to them. The difference is a villain says, the world screwed me over, I want to screw them back.
I want to
get revenge. Hero says, right? I want to get revenge. The hero says, the world screwed me over, I want to make sure nobody has to deal with that again.
Screwed over themselves. Right. Exactly. Right. It's a good way to look at it too. Yeah. You were weren't you in Broken Horses?
Yes. Yeah.
Tell us about that.
The Broken Horses. This was Vidhu Vinod Chopra. Chris Marquette was one of the leads in that, as well as Anton Yelchin. And I got to work closely with both Anton and Chris. I played a priest. I played a young priest. And also, the
A
man.
real
What's
departure
his name?
from what you just described to us.
Exactly. Yes. Well, yeah, I played a young priest,
He's
which
a
is funny because I've
well-rounded
also
actor.
exactly. So I mean, I've played priests and rabbis, and it's like you got to be. I think what's funny is like as an actor, you got to be some key roles that you got to be good at is like playing a priest, a newscaster, and like a student. Like these are all like
Yeah.
typical
It's
archetypical roles
all
that like
part
you
of
will
the
always like. Every movie has got a news reporter in it,
yes.
whatnot.
This
But
just in.
yeah. But Vincent D'Onofrio was one of the stars in this, and oh my god, I mean, getting to work with these guys was mind blowing. I only had a few lines in this movie; it was kind of a bit role, but I worked a few days, and the experience. And by the way, Anton Yelchin, who is no longer with us, was one of the sweetest guys I'd ever met. He was at I remember on my first day, it was really hot out. So we were shooting this scene, and then they had an SUV parked. So we were shooting the scene where it's a convoy of cars pulling up through a beautiful desert landscape to the church, right? And the reason why they're coming to the church is to see me, so that way I can bless them on this trip that they're about to do, right? And they're about to do this trip that's going to be a very dangerous trip where they're going to be sending somebody over across the border, and they want to get my blessings first. So that SUV, it was really hot that day, and obviously they do a bunch of takes like we talked about. And I remember in between takes, like it was just hot, and they kind of like maybe we had like another 15-20 minutes, so they offered all the talent, the three, or I guess the four of us, Chris, Anton, and Vincent and I, so four of us, they said like, hey, do you guys want to chill in the SUV? And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So all of a sudden I'm in the SUV just hanging out with these dudes, these like pillars of the filmmaking industry. Vincent D'Onofrio has been in so many great movies, like Full Metal Jacket. When I saw that, I was like, he played like Pyle, like was it like Officer Pyle or something like that, Commissioner, I forget the term, but anyways, just amazing movies. I think he was also in Men in Black too, if people remember. That's like he's the guy that drinking was it sugar water? I think he was drinking like sugar water. Right.
Yeah,
because like he had like he had the bug inside of him that becomes like this giant monster. But anyways, it was an amazing experience, and I felt like I was part of the boys, and they were just all three of them were just so welcoming and warm. And it's like that's the experience that you don't necessarily like. Certain sets, the regulars and like the leads, you get like kind of like a sorority or like a high school cliquey type of vibe. This wasn't that, and neither was General Hospital. In fact, like General Hospital and Broken Horses, another experience where it's like just so welcoming. And
how about working on Hunters too? That's
Hunters, another. Hunters was a crazy experience, and for me, it was very cathartic because I grew up hearing all the stories about how my family, how some of my family survived and how some of my family did not survive the Holocaust. And my dad was born at the end of the war in a displaced persons camp, right? His parents met in the camps, and they had him, and there were so many stories about how they survived. And growing up, for me, I always felt a little powerless because my dad would watch all these Holocaust movies and documentaries. And the saddest part was that part of the reason why he would watch all the documentaries, I asked him one day, I'm like, why are you always watching this? Like, it's so sad. Like, why are you doing this to yourself? And he's like, I'm looking for my family. And it's like, when he said that, I was like, damn. I was like, okay.
Now I get it.
I get that. Yeah. And so he would look through photographs and all this kind of stuff. And I, growing up in that kind of household, I felt very powerless. Like, wow, there's not a whole lot. I mean, like, what? I'm in like, the 21st century, right? And it's like, there's nothing I can do about this. Like, this was almost 100 years ago. I know we recently actually had Holocaust Remembrance Day, which is so important to never forget. And when Hunters came to me, this character, it was actually the same casting director, what's his name? Papadakis, who he actually cast me in Hunters, who obviously Hunters, but also in Angeline. And in Angeline, I auditioned to be Angeline. Initially, it was a guest starring role to be Angeline's dad. And the scene was supposed to be done. They sent the sides in English, but they're like, we need this performed in Hebrew. or Yiddish, dealer's choice, right? So being that my dad is fluent in Yiddish, I was like, okay, let's do this in Yiddish. And I think that was, I don't actually know which one came first, but because of that, I was definitely on their radar as like, okay, this is a guy who can do the foreign language stuff. So when Hunters came to me, it was like they wanted it done with either a Yiddish or a German accent, right? And when it came to me, it came through my manager, and I was like, this role is really cool because the character is something that my whole life I've kind of felt like, wow, like if I had some way of like going back and doing something to contribute, like what would it be? And I've always daydreamed about it, like, oh, would it be like maybe I go in a time machine? What if David was in a time machine right now? What would you do? And it's like, well, obvious choice, just kill Hitler before he has a chance, like maybe baby Hitler, whatever. Very controversial. I know, like some people, but how could you kill a baby? It's like, well, but he becomes the most evil man on the face of earth. It's like, oh yeah. And truthfully, I don't know if I actually could kill a baby Hitler. Like that's easier said than done, right?
Right.
But I would definitely want to do something. So to bring it back to Hunters, this character, his name is Abraham, and on the show, he has the opportunity to risk his own. So I guess to set the stage, so this is season 2, episode 7. I'm not going to give too much away because it hasn't been officially released yet. But what ends up happening on the show is it's a flashback episode to like 1942, and it's set in the hills of Germany, of like an old village, idyllic village, and inside this house there are all these Jews living underneath the floorboards, like 20 Jews living underneath there. And there's this old couple, and they've been helping these Jews survive for like years underground, right? And what ends up happening is the house eventually, well, you know what, I can't say that. all I can say is that eventually my character has to sacrifice his life so that way the children and his brethren can escape. So I felt like, man, like what a great thing for me personally to kind of like feel like, man, in some way, like in some kind of parallel universe way, I feel like I contributed, and did my part to help, bring bring my people, save as many people as I can, So
incredible, huh?
That was really
Full
cool.
circle. Yeah.
Yeah. And I got to say, it was really intense on that set. Not just because of the subject matter and stuff, but because of just the attention to detail from like a set decoration level, and from like the production value. It was just, you didn't have to do that much work to imagine yourself in the environment. Like these sets, these multi-million-dollar sets on the Amazon Studios lot were just mind-blowingly realistic. And I remember when I first pulled on that lot the first day, you kind of get in your zone where it's like, okay, you're an actor pulling on set. But I was at the security booth, and like as they're clearing me, I kind of turn over and I see like a group of SS officers just walking right past me. And I was like, I literally I had a visceral reaction because I've never seen that in person, and it looked so real, and it was so scary for me. And I was like, oh, right, this is fake. Okay, yeah, this is what we're doing. This is what we signed up for. And then
Part of it,
right? And then another experience on that set was like when I was inside that home. It's like it's supposed to look like this, like you're transported to this little home, 1941, with like an old couple living in Nazi Germany. And I remember like walking over to the living room, and there's like a fireplace. Then there's a mantle. And then right above the mantle is a framed photograph of Adolf Hitler. And this is the first time, like, I've seen him in the documentaries, I've seen him in movies and photos, but never like in person, like in the environment of like, this felt like at any moment, like an SS officer could walk into this house and be like, Drew, what are you doing here? Right. And then take you away. So it was like, right. It was super scary. And yeah, seeing like locking eyes with Adolf Hitler in that frame, it was just bone chilling, so
yeah. I can imagine, it's just runs through your veins because of the history and the family connection as well.
Makes your blood run cold.
Yeah. You also mentioned, Angeline, which of course everybody's buzzing about. Tell us about this, and how did you get involved in this? This is on Peacock, of course, which is part of good old NBC, their network. Tell us about this.
Yes, so this was the same casting director as Hunters, John Papsidera, that was his name. I know I kind of botched it a little bit before. Now I don't recall if Hunters happened before or after Angeline, but I can tell you this, that um, initially what had happened, you know what? I think it was actually Angeline. They cast me pre-pandemic, right? And they were like, my shoot date was coming up, and right before my shoot date was the COVID, right? The COVID situation, the lockdown, and they ended up. So what was interesting is, according to the union, you still get paid. So I didn't go to set, but I got paid, and I was like, okay, this is really weird. And then they didn't shoot for like another year or two, right?
Yeah.
And but with that said, yeah, when Papsidera brought me in for it, it was to play Henry, and Henry was this is based on the real life of Angeline, based on, I know I'll say loosely based, because you see that photo right here. I posted this onto my Instagram story, and I think I may have tagged the real Angeline, and then she actually sent me a DM saying like, oh, this is not the real, like, she said something about like, yeah, this is not the real Angeline or whatever. I'm like, oh, really? Wait, what went wrong? And then I noticed like she looked at it and then she just didn't respond. But I was like, okay, interesting. I think she's very nitpicky about how she's being portrayed. But the story is like, back in the day, Angeline used to have all these billboards where it was just her. Like, she was like this blonde bombshell on billboards all over LA, and it would just say Angeline. Right. And people would be like, what is this? Is this like an album? Is this an actor? Is this a movie? Nobody knows. It was never explained. She was just, so what she ended up being was just the first celebrity for just being a celebrity. Just, the first Kardashian, if you will. I think she kind of invented that concept. And so in this movie, she actually is inspired by, from what I understand, she was inspired to become this Angeline because when she was on the SS Israel, there was a Marilyn Monroe impersonator that was like singing and just captivated her attention, right? She was in like maybe the sequin dress or whatever dress it was, and just sparkling and singing and just like enthralling all the men aboard the boat. And this was like a very pivotal moment for Angeline, or for the real girl who then becomes Angeline.
Right.
And so my bit initially that I auditioned for was to be her dad, who is very connecting to the Holocaust. Like, he's a bitter survivor. Like, what's interesting is the Holocaust has done a lot of things, has affected Jews in many different ways. And one of the ways is, there are two things that generally happen with the Holocaust survivor. Either one, they become a lot closer to their faith, to their Yiddishkeit, right, as they say, or the opposite, right? And you had rabbis, right, that would become like, that only made their faith in God that much stronger. Like, wow, he chose me to survive, And then you have the other Jews that are like, wow, how could he do this to everybody? And that and then they get distance themselves from the faith, right? So my character Henry initially, that character Henry initially was one of those guys who got he was very bitter about this experience, and just like kind of a tough dad to be around. So that was not actually the role that I booked. So in fact, but that scene, there were a couple scenes in Yiddish, and I had so much fun with it. My dad did a great job coaching me, and they liked me enough to bring me another audition. And so I auditioned for another role, and then ended up booking something else completely different. So ultimately, what I got in this role, in this show, was there is a really cool house party scene in Beverly Hills, a mansion in Bel Air, and Angeline pulls up, and I'm playing one of her friends, just like somebody that she's met. And she's just pulling into the party, and I'm just kind of like greeting her, just like, hey, what's up? Hey, it's so good to see you again. All that kind of it's that kind of vibe. And also, from what I understand, the director was saying that it has the potential to feel a little bit montagey and stuff like that. So ultimately, who knows what that scene is going to look like. But regardless, I'm just so grateful to have gotten to be on that set, regardless of how big or small the role is. If you ask me honestly, I mean, if I had the choice, I would take the Henry role, right?
Sure.
But like I'm cool either way. It's like if that's the role that
Yeah.
I get, that's what I get. I'm
It's
not gonna
still a
freak
part
out.
of the whole
It's like
thing, right?
I'm grateful to have been a part of it. Yes, very much.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And then, of course, going back a little bit too, we'll talk about GH in just a second, but going back to the prolific commercial career, copywriting, writing, acting,
yes,
comes along the Car Gurus opportunity. And Car Gurus is huge. So many people go there
yeah,
to learn about
yep,
cars and to look at reviews and really, and especially now with the car shortages and what am I going to spend my
yes,
money on and all. It's a
absolutely.
great resource. Tell us how this came about.
Yeah, so this actually, interesting enough, this happened all throughout the COVID pandemic and or epidemic, as you will. So
Yeah.
I initially auditioned for this in 20, was it 2021? 20, when did COVID first hit? Was it 2020? I think
That's probably debatable.
right.
There's a
Okay.
whole
Well,
other
you know
show
what?
we could probably do on that, right?
Right.
But I would
Exactly. Yeah.
say
What the
it
right
was,
date is.
wasn't it 2019-ish, right? Or going into
2019.
like
Right. Yeah.
2020, sort of early
Right. Something
2020
like that.
is
Yep.
when it was sort of
Well,
officially
yeah. I digress. Well,
announced or
exactly. Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. I don't remember the exact dates, but okay, this is what I'll say is that
I
this was
just
like
know we were very
early into
busy
the
that day, you and I.
exactly, exactly. So this was actually really early into the lockdowns. There was this casting director. This was ASG Casting, a really cool office, and so this was into COVID, where it was becoming a thing where like everything is self tapes. Now for this, what they did was they had in person auditions, and I was like, oh my god, really? I gotta go in person, and it was this in-person audition that you had to prep like these 3 scripts, right? And I remember like I knew all the scripts back to back, like, oh, CarGurus algorithm, man. So she's like, hey, so how do I know I'm getting a good deal on this car? I'm like, oh, because CarGurus algorithm analyzes non-uniform data sets cross-referenced with API parameters. She's like, oh, I speak English. I'm like, I'm sorry. CarGurus takes the guesswork out, factor in vehicle history, days on lot, even dealer reviews to make sure this car is a great deal. And only 20 or only 30% of cars, yeah, I think it's 30. Only 30% of cars on CarGurus earn our highest deal ratings. So, it's a great deal, right? So I had to know everything.
Just the
And,
fact that
but
you were able to say Car Gurus that fast, they should give you that
CarGurus,
role.
yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. Start your search, find your deal on
Car
CarGurus,
Guru.
right? Yeah. But yeah, so I think a big part of it is being prepped, right? That's always my thing, is like be as prepped as possible. And I remember when I went in for that first session, the first session was just on tape. And then they send that off to production, to agency, to client, and then they make their selects for callbacks. I remember in the room, the session room was like, wow, that was really good. Like, thank you for being prepared. Like, the script. Like, everybody else came in and they were just like reading it off the board. I didn't need to read it off the board. I knew it. And I think that's like a huge thing. Like, if you have the luxury of memorizing it, do it. If you have the luxury of being prepared, you should. That's going to separate you from the people that are not. The
Are
people
you
that are, what's that?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, you can finish. Yeah, the people
Oh,
that
okay.
are not.
Yeah, that are not. So
Yeah,
yeah, so you just have to be prepped. That's what separates you from the pack.
I,
From the pack.
I was gonna say, are you good with memorization? Are you good with memorizing lines? And because some people they need the cue cards, they need the scripts, they need at least something to sort of lead them along. And then there's
Yeah.
others who are fantastic. They can memorize the Gettysburg Address backwards, upside down, and the whole bit.
Yeah. By the way, thank you, Kathleen. I love that you are loving the conversation. Yes, to answer your question, I'm good. I'm okay / good at memorizing. It takes work.
Yeah,
It's not something
yeah.
that I just look at it and have a photographic memory and memorize it in instantly. But with that said, part of my technique is, especially if it's a lot of stuff. Maureen, you really know your stuff, David. Clearly, your energy and ambition have served you well. Kudos to you. Thank you, Maureen. What a
Levity.
kind.
If you ever
Yeah,
need levity, come
levity,
to the Jim Masters
levity
show,
coming through.
David.
I love
That's
it.
it.
Um, but yeah, so part of my technique is actually kind of like, what I'll do is, if I want to memorize this like on the note, like especially for something like CarGurus, where it's a lot of technical jargon. and exposition. In fact, any commercial where you're doing spokesperson stuff and you need to memorize, like, it's just like exposition dump. What I'll do is I will memorize it verbatim, but then I will also be open. I'll do it in such a way where I'm not locked into a performance. What ends up getting tricky is when actors memorize it the way they're going to perform it. That's when they get screwed up, because then the director says, okay, now can you do it like, more casual? I was like, great. Okay, now do it like more serious. Now do it like a little sad, right? Let's say they give you all this stuff. It's hard to take that direction if you have been rehearsing it and memorizing it into your brain one certain way. So what I do is I do it monotone. You do it like a robot. It gets baked into your brain, and that's kind of like part of my technique.
That's a good idea. That's actually a great tip. So that way and then you can fluctuate as needed.
Then you can put color onto it. And then what it does is it's almost like computer programming your brain with the code for the performance. And then you need to have it there. You need to have the script just in your bones. So that way, when you're on set, you can be loose and just go with whatever is being thrown at you from the other actors and what's being thrown at you from agency, client, and director. It's not just the director. People think it's like, oh yeah, it's like, it's just the director that is giving. A lot of these notes are coming from agency and client where they're like, oh, you know what, that doesn't really work. So sometimes it's like, you have to be really flexible, because sometimes you'll get like an off the wall note and it's like, that's not the director, that's the ad agency. They want another option.
Or the owner of the company or the client says, I really want this, I want that. Sometimes they're even there on set, depending on what the commercial is and the size of it. I've had a couple where I've done that.
Starting to happen more often.
Where they flip things around completely while they're filming. They completely flip things around based on what the client, the owner, the creator wants, which is quite amazing.
It's funny you say that, because that was kind of my experience on Car Gurus. So to get back to that, first I'll wrap up the callback experience. Was so the next I came in for the callback, and that was virtual. So I had to go in person, but then everybody was there virtually. And then so that was a really interesting experience. But what happened was, I think at the time of the callback, right before I signed in, the casting director either text message, called, or emailed me like, by the way, here's like 3 more scripts. And I was like, oh my God, okay, cool. Well, yeah, just give me a second and I'll be ready to go. Right. The thing is, you have that. It's almost kind of like a little bit of a test. The truth is, it's not like an intentional thing. Like, hey, let's test David, see if he's the guy, by throwing him 3 scripts as he's going into the callback. It's just, they going back to the collaborator thing. It's like, be a problem solver, like do the best you can. Don't be a diva about it. So I did. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to prep this to the best of my ability with the time I have. Yes. And the reason why that was important is because the experience on set was very similar to that. We shot the first round of Car Guru spots. We shot about like 25 spots, right? This is like 3 main broadcast spots, right? And then the rest were all for new media and digital, right? So that consisted of 30 seconds, 15s, and 6s. But all of them had very technical scripts about different features on the Car Guru site that we were trying to sell. So it might be a 30-second script just about the shop from home feature, right? Or a 30-second script just about like the financing. So all these different like exposition dump and highly technical scripts needed to be memorized and ready to go. And then the experience on set was that they were changing constantly. And even before, like, I would get a script the night before, and then the day of it would be different. And I remember like one day, Jeff Bitzek is our director, and he directed actually both versions. You know what? Versions isn't the right, both iterations. So we did one iteration where it was just me as the Car Guru, and then a year later we came back and we added a co-Car Guru to make it a little bit more inclusive for the brand and everything. And for that we had the same amazing director, Jeff Bitzek, who is super funny. I really respect his comedy and comedic chops. Like, all of his ideas super funny, and he's been instrumental in bringing this campaign to life. But I do remember on that first round of Car Guru spots, there was a time, maybe we were like 3 days in, and we were shooting on each day. We would shoot a broadcast spot, and then we would move into the digital stuff, right? No teleprompter. I had just so much stuff to memorize, and it would be constantly changing. And I remember we had just wrapped the broadcast spot and we were about to shoot some of the digital content. And I went up to Jeff. I'm like, hey, bro, I noticed like today there was this change on the script that we're about to shoot. How do you want me to do this as far as the blocking? Right. I kind of picture it like this. And he's like, wait, when did this change come in? I'm like, oh, this came in this morning. He's like, oh my God. I didn't even get this yet. Oh gosh. It's like, well, there go all my notes for this. I'm gonna need 5 minutes. I'll be right back. And I was like, and look, that's where being a problem solver and just keeping cool. It's like
go with the
it's not
flow
gonna
and
go with the flow. Like freaking out about this is not gonna help anybody. You just do your best in every situation you're in.
Exactly. Because everybody's under pressure. Everybody has a job to do. Everybody needs to get it done and get it done quickly and on budget and on time. And
everybody wants to go home at some point. They don't want to live as beautiful as Coyote Studios is, or Delfino Studios, which were the two studios we shot the Car Gurus campaign at. We don't want to be living there,
Yeah, exactly right. We were sent this. I haven't seen it yet, but it was sent. It was something I think that you recorded yesterday, and it got funneled to us. So we're going to take a look at this and see what it is. I think it's
I'm excited.
Cool, and
I don't know what this is.
Neither do I. It's amazing. Huh? Here it is.
This is so fun.
360-degree shots of shoes? Check. Wardrobe fitting at Quixote Studios. Nice glasses, bruh. Who do you think you are, Tony Stark? Hate to break it to you, but no, you're not. Alright, let's try on some outfits, white boy. Wow, dude, you're just so cool I could vomit. No, seriously, please continue. Show us how cool you are. I want to see. This'll be entertaining. Wow, did he really just do a hat flip? Just shoot me now, please. Like, seriously, put me out of my misery. How many takes did that take? 100, right? You know what? I can't even anymore. Cut to B-roll before Instagram deletes this reel for being too cool. Much better. Nice. That guy David Lotman? I mean, yikes. Nerd alert. Nerd alert. Am I right? Stop smiling. I'm making fun of you.
Hot off the presses, worldwide exclusive on the Jim Masters Show live.
Oh my God, that voiceover was brutal. I love a good roast though. Yeah. It's
so
this new
tell us
app.
about that. They're loving it. Cool video from Linda in Florida. Carla's watching in Brazil and South America. Says cool. Now that was so cool from Maureen. Love it from Merlin in Canada. This is funny. Love it from Mona watching in New Orleans. What was that? Tell us about it. It's cool.
So cool.
It's like the first time people are seeing it.
Yeah. So the way it works is whenever you shoot a commercial, they have a separate day that's just a wardrobe fitting. And part of me, as a filmmaker myself, I love to document my process. I think just for my fans, my friends, they love to see and keep updated with it. And to keep it fresh, sometimes I will go into the insult comedy realm, because otherwise, like, it seems like if it was just a video of me like getting dressed in outfits, could be a little bit boring. So I'm like, you know what, I got to make fun of myself. Otherwise, because I think part of the thing is I don't take myself too seriously. And I think, it was just kind of like a change of pace. What I did notice, and this is kind of interesting for me, was that from an analytics perspective, I'm very into like computers and tech. I noticed that a lot of my wardrobe fittings was getting more traction than some of the behind the scenes footage. Like, you would think that like, oh, cool behind the scenes videos of like showing the cameras and the film sets and the studios and the backlot. Sure. Sometimes that doesn't get as much views as the wardrobe fitting. So I kind of I started to double down on the wardrobe fittings lately. But yeah, that's for an awesome commercial that I just wrapped this week for Ping Identity, starring opposite Terry Crews, the muscle man Terry Crews. So that's going to be a super cool spot, and I'm excited for that to come out. But yeah, that was like a fun video that I just posted literally the other day, hot off the press.
Hot off the presses here on the show, I tell you. So you know all about the analytics and everything else, right? Exactly.
Yeah, and hindsight is 2020, but I may have been a little too brutal on myself with that VO. Like, maybe it's just like, whoa, maybe that was too much, but I'm only human.
You're only human. And so everybody share this episode of the Jim Masters Show live to help those analytics. It's all about the analytics and the algorithm. Those
The
A words.
algorithm. Yeah.
Analytics and algorithms. Yes.
Yes,
Share
yes.
this video, this episode around the
Yeah.
world. And
We've said the word algorithm quite a lot today. Like the
haven't
car
we?
guru's
I-
algorithm. Man.
algorithm.
Well, yeah, because of the algorithm. Well, now
he
we
sat,
have.
he
Now we've
sat
said
next to
algorithm.
me in third grade. Algorithm.
Algorithm, yeah. Well, truth is, I get a little royalty and algorithm royalty. Anytime that car gurus or the word algorithm comes up, I get a little royalty. So
Oh,
yeah.
very nice.
Anyway.
That's why we've said it 19 times, of course.
Yeah.
And while you're always, you're probably always looking on the computer at the stats anyway, right? As we've seen
Oh, yeah.
evidenced here.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. Oh, what's
Tell
going
us
on?
about this
is-
cool shot, huh?
Yeah, this is actually my first commercial.
Yes.
I just realized that right now. This was for Xbox, Tom Clancy's
yes.
Ghost Recon Future Soldier. This was an Xbox video game. It was in tandem with Microsoft and Ubisoft, directed by Mitch Cohen. Wow. The production company was Trailer Park. How do I still know this? I don't know. It's a problem. No, but this was a super cool spot. This was called Gamers Anonymous. I believe that was the title of it. And the concept was, well, let's just show people how addicting this video game is, right? Like, it's kind of like, it's almost like it almost takes inspiration from for the Got Milk campaign,
Yes.
where like the Got Milk is the absence of the product, right? It's like, oh, I got I'm stuffed with cookies. Like, I could really just use some milk right now. So this is kind of similar. It's like, well, if you have too much of the product, like that's a problem too. Like, this video game is so addicting.
You can see it in your eyes.
That you can see it in your eyes, that these guys have to go to Gamers Anonymous meetings, right? So actually right now in the commercial, I'm actually playing the video game, right? Which you could put 2 and sense together, but I'm at work. I should be working. I'm also at church later. So there's another shot of me at church. I should be at church, but just, listening to the pastor, but I'm being a bad boy and playing Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Future Soldier. So anyways, this was a super fun spot. And I remember, in fact, we shot a lot of vignettes of me like doing different things, like playing this video game in awkward situations. Like I'm hunched over in my room, like playing it on my phone. And then my mom walks in and then she catches me and she thinks something else is going on. I'm like, what? No, it's just and then I'm just
she
playing
thinks
the
you're
game.
watching something else, right?
Yeah. But the commercial actually opens up in like a underneath like a church in like a dark room. And it's just like a team of like or a group of like guys that are addicted to video games. And we're kind of talking about it. And I'm like, well, yeah, I'm kind of addicted to, this video game. And then I just go into the whole spiel about it. Yeah. And what's funny is I think, to be honest, that commercial in certain ways kind of set the path for me as far as what types of roles I book. And I say that because this character was very verbose. Like, he had a lot of dialogue, and also it taught me an important lesson that you need to find out, like, if there's a lot of script, as soon as you get cast, like, find out as soon as you can for an updated, finalized script. Normally what happens is like these scripts are always like analogous. It's, it's constantly being changed and whatnot. But as soon as they can give it to you, start working on it, because I didn't get, like, nobody sent me, they forgot to send me the script. And it was like 5 or 6 pages because it's like a 2 or 3 minute commercial, because it's actually like, it's more like a trailer for the video game. And that's me talking the entire time about the video game, right? It's pretty much my monologue to the Gamers Anonymous meeting. And anyways, not to go on too long about it. It was a super fun spot.
That was a
and
cool
I think
thing. Yeah.
I think kind of set the tone for the types of roles that I would book later. It's like, video game, nerdy, techie, but then also like, just throw him a lot of dialogue. That's always been like, whenever I have the luxury of being like, I had a commercial for Virginia Credit Union. I think last year, shot during the pandemic. They flew me out to Virginia. In fact, I'm actually going to Atlanta, Georgia at 6 a.m. I'm shooting like maybe 4 or 5 commercials this coming week. So getting back on the airplane again. But when I did the Virginia spot, that was one where I had like, I think I just said like, thank you. I was like, this is a vacation. Who can't say thank you? So I always like, oh, what a breath, a breath of fresh air, right? Or is that the same? Yeah. So, and absolutely. Conversely, this one that I'm about to go for to Atlanta, Georgia for, it's like I'm the main guy, and we're doing like at least 5 spots, and there's a lot of dialogue. So I got to actually, and I haven't worked on the scripts. I actually messaged them today using that Xbox experience, like get me the script as soon as possible, because this is like, we're shooting like 5 spots in 3 days from what I understand. And so we're going to be just
So you're going to
running
be
and gunning.
cranking. Yeah.
We're
Grinding
going to be
it.
cranking them out. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then of
That one I
course,
signed an NDA, so I can't say what that one's
you
for,
can,
but
stay
yeah, but
tuned.
yeah, stay tuned. Yeah. Yeah.
And then
It's
of
gonna be
course,
fun.
General Hospital. Tell us
Yeah.
about this role for folks who are finding out about you being on GH, to all the
Yeah.
GH watchers, and
Yeah.
also those who are going to look for you.
I'd love to. Yeah. So I've been really blessed with this. Grant Smoltz is the character's name. He came on to the show initially as just like a day player, right? He was just supposed to be in a few episodes. And what ended up happening was they just really, production, just they just took note that, like, you know, they enjoyed it and that I was easy to work with and all that stuff. So they've been bringing me back, and now he's a recurring character on the show. And he is a troublemaker, this Grant Smoltz. So he comes on the show. He is a tabloid journalist who is working for Alexis Davis at The Invader. And his first appearance on the show, first of all, the reason why he was, and that's Alexis Davis right there, who I'm talking to. I'm in The Invader office where she's working on the magazine. And so what she's trying to do is turn the magazine around. You know, the magazine has been known for a while as being very tabloid and risque, doing like celebrity sex lives and, you know, crazy stories like that. And that's my bread and butter as a tabloid journalist. Those are the stories that I can do. But I also have another side to me where I can be sensitive and relevant to new stories and important stories. And what ends up happening is she wants the magazine to become a respectable entity, something akin to the New Yorker or the Atlantic magazine, right? So when I come on the show, it's initially to show that and be like, hey, you know, I've been giving you all these pitches, Alexis, but you've been denying me. Like, what's going on? And then she's like, check your phone. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. And then I see that she responds and she says, like, yeah, you know, she's turning the direction around for the magazine. She doesn't want to do those stories. So we start working together, and you know, I'm pitching stories about you know, the sex lives of that lady right there, Nina Reeves, played by Cynthia Watros, who is a huge star. So, like, I mean, honestly, that's what's been amazing about this show from my perspective is, and this character, is that I've been able to bounce around and interact with all the different characters. You know, what's her name? Nancy Lee Graham. She has been, you know, all these characters, they've been on the show for years and done like hundreds, thousands of episodes. So to get to act opposite them has been just such a huge blessing and learning experience. But when my manager initially brought this audition to me, it was interesting because they said he is kind of a comedic character, and you know, he's this journalist. So I submitted, you know, on my own. I was like, you know what, I want to do 2 versions of this. Because I could see this character being one of 2 things. Like, either he is that like scum of the earth, right? Like that, like, you know, like a TMZ tabloid journalist, like probably in like sloppy torn jeans, a t-shirt, and a hoodie. Or he could be conversely the exact opposite, where he's like this, you know, well-dressed, refined, pretentious guy, you know, nosy journalist. And I think ultimately Grant Smoltz kind of became a combination of both of those characters. And what was interesting about that is I remember my manager had asked Mark Teschner, the casting director, like, hey, do they know which version they want to go with? And Mark was like, David, well, when we send him the script, he'll know. And part of the reason why he says that is because the way it works on these soap operas, I don't know if your fans know how it works, but generally, because the soap opera world is filled with so many amazing fans that just can't wait to get the scoop on what's going to happen next, they've had to alter the casting process for this show. And what that means is that they would used to, from my understanding, they would used to have like real auditions were sent out of like the real scene that's going to be on the show. That would be sent out to actors. But now they do what's called dummy sides. And it's like, it gives the same vibe of the scene that's going to happen, but nothing is real. So when Mark said that, it was like, okay, that makes sense. Like when they send the actual script, like these were dummy sides, which I didn't. The thing is, when you get dummy sides, you don't even know if it's dummy. Like that could be the real thing. But the thing is, it's also in your best interest to remain professional, because my name is just printed or watermarked across the sides, which is like what we call the scripts that actors get during the audition process. So if it were to leak, it would be blamed on me, right? It would be all over the press or whatever. You would see David Lotman leaks, whatever, because it's his name on the sides. So yeah, getting to work on the show has been super cool. My character has gotten some really cool scenes. The last scene that was on the show was between me and Johnny Wachter, who plays Brando Corbin on the show. And we had a really interesting altercation. So initially what happened was Michael Corinthos is a character on the show that is, the son of Sonny Corinthos, who is like, some would say like the lead, like it's his show, right? He's like the mafioso boss, the Don of the Eastern Seaboard, if you will. So his son, I find out some disturbing news about his sister, how she has been exposed in this like a cyber exploitation type of video, where it's a sex video featuring her and Jocelyn Jacks and Cameron Weber. The two of them are doing the nasty, and it gets leaked not only on the internet and everywhere, but it plays on a projector in a classroom and everybody's seeing it. So it's a huge story, and I confront Michael Corinthos about it, and he doesn't take kindly. He wants to know. I'm like, wait, bro, like you don't know what's going on, and he's like, no, tell me. I'm like, well, I would have thought it spread like wildfire. You really don't know? And he's like, yeah. So I explain it to him, and then my character has this thing where he likes to sensationalize stories. He's one of these sensationalist journalists where, it's a technique, right? Where you can use to make a story a little bit more exciting, at the sacrifice of being accurate. Just make it interesting, right? Like a headline that's going to pack a punch. So
Grab
speaking of
eyeballs,
punches,
yeah.
grab eyeballs. So what I end up doing is I try sensationalizing it, and what ends up happening is Michael Corinthos clocks me in the face, because I'm like, hey, well, maybe your sister and her boyfriend put up this video themselves, right? I mean, she is quite the athlete, right? And then he's like,
Right.
he does not take, he's like, boom, right in the face. And that sets off a whole storyline where now he gets arrested. And now we end up working together, because I'm like, bro, I'm going to press charges on you. I'm going to be going, maybe you can advise me on the best Caribbean island to go on for a vacation with all your money, because I'm going to be living it up, bro. You should not have hit me, and let alone in front of the police commissioner. Like the police commissioner would just rounded the corner as he clocked me in the face. So long story short, I really got involved in the fabric of the show by just instigating and sensationalizing stories with different characters. And the last situation that happened was with Brando Corbin, where his girlfriend, or wife rather, Sasha Gilmore, who's the face of Deception, as people would know. Deception, by the way, for those that don't know, is the name of a skincare brand on the show. And so she's the face of Deception. And I call her the face of Collision to her boyfriend, because she was involved in a hit and run, and I'm trying to find out about the information. He didn't like that, so he tries to attack me, but luckily, what's his name? I always forget. Michael Corinthos. He tries to save me, since I'm now working and collaborating with Michael Corinthos in exchange for dropping the charges against him. I'm like, you know what? Give me. He offers me an exclusive story that could really put me on the map, so I take that. So in a nutshell, that's kind of what's going on the show.
Cool, huh?
Yeah. I mean, I could go on and on, but yeah, that's pretty much a nutshell.
And you're enjoying it?
Yeah. Oh my God. I would say, yeah. And what's so exciting about it is really being as the journalist on the show, I really get to pop into everybody's lives. And it's like one day I'm with Nina, one day I'm with Alexis, one day I'm with what are the kids' names again? Jocelyn Jackson, Cameron Weber. So it's I'm like, honestly, it feels like I'm a ping pong ball, just like bouncing off all these characters, you know? And yeah, that was the black eye I got from getting punched in the face by Michael Corinthos. And yeah, I really, you know, Grant Smoltz, he really milked it, you know, like he really milks that black eye as much as he could.
Did you put a steak on it?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
That is funny. And then we have this. Okay, everybody ready to say Lovities? Who's that?
That's really funny. So you know what? I think there was this is just me as a little baby. And I think the part of the reason why that photo was selected is because I did a interview. I think it was for Soap Opera News. And they wanted to see some old photos. And I thought, well, you know what would be perfect is to show me as a little kid, like looking through my dad's drawers. I shouldn't say drawers because that has a connotation. Looking through his.
You're right. If somebody just tuned in now, they'd be like, "What? This is the soap opera. This is an episode of soap opera."
So here I am looking through my dad's personal belongings and file cabinets, like looking for a scoop. So this is Grant Smoltz starting from I think I'm like 3 years old here. So this is me starting as a little kid prepping for the role. So that's how that photo came.
Jane did a collective awe.
Right.
Merlin goes, guess what I'll be watching tomorrow? GH General Hospital. That's cool. So you're loving the ride. I mean, you've got a lot of things going. Like you say, you're all going to be heading out to Atlanta soon to shoot some more of the spots. 6 a.m.
Exactly 12 hours from now, I will be lifting off.
And I do schedules like that too, and it is crazy. So you're working on adrenaline now, but you'll get a good. Fortunately, you're 3 hours behind us here in the East Coast, so you got some time to. Are you all packed?
Oh no, I'm not at all. I'm not even packed yet.
Now, do you pack? Will you be there for a stretch or a few days?
I'll be there until Friday. I think I fly back Friday. So leaving at
so
6
you'll be there
for the entire week,
for the whole week. Really?
Yeah. It's gonna be fun. The truth is, I love traveling. I don't know how you feel about it, but I love traveling.
I enjoy it.
Work.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like a paid vacation,
isn't it?
Normally. Sometimes it's like for this one, it has the potential of me really having to be on top of it and not really having much time to explore and really do stuff. Like I was recently in Nashville, Tennessee. I did this super fun series for AT&T called Ponder This. And I got to spend the entire week also out in Nashville. But luckily, now, okay, with that said, it was definitely a lot on my plate. There were a lot of scripts to do. But with that said, I still got to explore a little bit. So I think this experience coming up in Atlanta might be similar, where I'll have a packed schedule and a lot of scripts to memorize and work on and be refining. But I might be able to grab a dinner here or there or a lunch and explore a little bit. The Nashville one was for AT&T called Ponder This. And it was a super fun series where we kind of explored the idea of millennials, right? And how millennials grew up in both worlds, right? Millennials, they kind of both worlds of technology. So I can remember a time where I would use what was called a Thomas guide to get places. A Thomas guide is like a map, like where it's like you would just keep it in your car in case you got lost, or we would use that for directions, and sometimes it would be like, well, when you hit the big tree, make a left, and it's like
simple as
nowadays, right? So sometimes it's just as simple as that. So this series really explored how being in both worlds is like, and obviously it was sponsored by AT&T, and it had the most amazing cast and crew that one could ask for. So super fun times.
Wow, that's cool. So you're loving the ride, and there's somebody that wanted to pop in. Usually pops in towards the latter part of the show. Mr. George Burns is with us.
Hey, Mr. George Burns,
with his cigar and his hanky,
and his tuxedo.
He's all looking fly. He comes in towards the latter part. He just wanted to say hello, and he said that you knocked it out of the park. He really enjoyed this conversation together.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Well, hey, I just got to say that tux, you are looking so sharp. I'm feeling self-conscious about being in a Hawaiian shirt. Like, I'm just like, I'm anxious. I'm nervous. I'm falling apart, man. And that's because of how stylish you are. You even
So
got that
interesting.
red. What is that called? Like a
It's a
napkin?
little like a
There's
hanky, sort of like
a hanky, a red
yeah,
hanky. I felt like
a
there's like an
cigar.
actual term for that. A cigar? Yeah, oh
Yeah,
yeah, there's a cigar too, man.
yeah, I tell you.
You are ahead of the game.
We
Oh,
only the best. Really was cool, and having an opportunity to chat with you. And
yeah,
I hope the
so
show
cool.
met whatever expectations you had, and you enjoyed the time with me as much as I absolutely have with you,
Absolutely.
David.
Absolutely, and more. This has been super cool. We're gonna have to like surf together or something. Do you have
Yes.
any plans of being in LA?
Yes, actually, I hope to be. I'm going to Florida first. We have a TV shoot in Fort Lauderdale in June, but I'm hoping in the summer to head out that way. Yeah,
Oh yeah. Oh
yeah,
my
we
God.
have
There's no
family throughout
place
California
better.
too.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah, which is good. My
wow.
mother's the youngest of 16
What?
on the East Coast.
16?
Yeah, Connecticut,
Oh my gosh.
Massachusetts, father New York, all that
Okay.
whole, and they're all over the country and the world and Canada, but yeah, relatives in California there,
Wow.
and yeah,
Oh my
that's a
God. Oh,
lot,
so
isn't it? It's a,
what part of California?
they're in Huntington Beach, Costa
Oh,
Mesa,
okay.
um, we
HB's a huge surf spot. Yeah.
Laguna. Yeah.
Laguna.
Yes, it
Uh-huh.
is. Absolutely. Um, San Francisco. Um, and then we have Malibu. There's
Oh
two
my
cousins in
gosh.
Malibu.
Wow.
The
Are they literally beachfront? No way. Oh my God. Okay. So
darn
you
them.
are gonna, yeah, you definitely are gonna have to invite me over when this happens. I'm just so rude, just inviting myself over to their house. But yeah, to go surfing. But well, we don't have to. We could just meet up at the beach or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's that's what it's all
But who
about. And
doesn't
that's what
like, yeah, who doesn't like a beachfront property? Man, it's just I feel so I think my heart rate just like drops. I become like so chill and
there's something
relaxed.
about
Just
it.
something about it.
Yes.
Hmm.
Friends in San
Everybody just
Diego
shows
too, which is beautiful. San Diego. We have a lot
say,
of
yeah,
friends. Yeah.
love
That
SD.
Yeah, they work for some of the television stations in San Diego. That's a beautiful area too. And Temecula,
Another,
I was on
yeah.
a TV shoot sent out
Oh
to
my gosh.
Temecula, which I thought was very cool to see. And then, of course, Palm Springs,
Yeah.
friends in Palm Springs too. But
You have all this spot. You have California covered. Palm Springs, amazing. San Diego. I think there's Pacific Beach down there. There's a huge surf
Pacific
spot.
and Mission
You've got, yeah,
Beach,
PB Mission. Whew, I mean,
some
you've
great
got everything
spots.
in
And then,
Temecula. My family used to have a horse ranch, or actually, you know what? I'm sorry, we still do. It's called Sundance Meadows. There is a horse ranch that they have like a timeshare slash ownership. So
oh,
we
wow.
every now and then we'll go out there and ride horses,
Oh,
camp
that's
out.
cool.
They have like a bunkhouse. It's just a really cool spot. So yeah, and then I remember as a kid going up there and like we would check out Old Town Temecula too, which I don't know if is that still around, the Old Town?
That's a good question. I don't remember if I saw that or not. I saw all the
Because
vineyards, which was fantastic. A lot of
okay,
vineyards
but
out that
so
way.
Old Town Temecula, if it's still there, highly recommend checking it out. It's like it feels like an old Western village or
Oh,
town,
yeah.
like 1800s or whatever like that, And I remember I won this little art contest where where it was like an art contest where all the kids in the store that day get to compete, and then one kid gets to win something. So I won a red lantern, which I still have to this day, like in my room, little lantern that
Oh, that's cool,
yeah,
huh?
yeah, it's just kind of cool. Like, yeah,
That
so I,
is
I love Temecula.
Temecula is really, really a beautiful spot there. Absolutely. Yeah.
And then you
And
got Palm Springs. And then it's like the complete opposite, like, yeah, party. And it's like, yeah, let's
Palm
party with
Springs is a whole
cactuses and
other.
pools. And it's a whole different vibe. So, you
Yeah.
know, you've got the LA coast covered.
We
Really,
pretty much got
California.
it all covered there. Yeah. I had lunch at Facebook with a friend who was doing some
Mm.
contracting work at Facebook. That was really a cool experience to see
What was
Facebook.
that? What was
It
that
was,
campus like?
that's exactly, coming from television and radio and all, I was kind of like very fascinated by it. And I was like, gee, do they feel like they're, ruling the world? What are they thinking about? And it really is an ad agency is what it basically is. There's a lot of,
Yeah.
advertising involved and everything too. But
Hmm.
I don't know, there's like 10, 11 different restaurants they can choose for lunch. I mean, it's
Oh,
like,
wow.
lot of holding a laptop in one hand and a a Coca-Cola in the other, on a skateboard zipping by, and they have a hair salon, the movie theater. I
Oh
mean,
my God, movie
it's
movie
a
theater
fortress.
inside.
It had to be by invitation only. So my friend
Is
who was
there buses, right? Do they transport you in a bus or something, or no?
no, we actually were able to drive, but I mean, the pre-prep
Security.
to get, yeah, you had to be totally invited. And once you were on campus at Facebook, you were able to move around. You were able to see things, look, obviously there's certain areas you couldn't go to, but
Yeah.
it was open. It was really an interesting place, but like a fortress. And just what it is, it's Facebook, of
Super
course.
cool.
So yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, the way you described it, like I could see myself working there. Like if I wasn't in like an actor in entertainment, like I could see myself totally working at a Facebook place, because it said it's the ad agency vibe, and I love that. That is so interesting to me. And the thing is, I could also see myself still, like one day maybe like getting back into maybe doing some copywriting and stuff like that, maybe even some directing down in the future. So that vibe of like, oh yeah, there's kombucha on tap, and like, yeah, ride your
That's what
skateboard
it's
to
like.
work, movie
Google
theater,
is
hair
like that as
salon.
well.
Ah,
Yeah,
it's so cool.
Google.
I think
Yeah.
that's such a great thing for the tech industry as a whole, just like because it attracts more talent, more technology experts and engineers, which the world, like
Yes.
right now we're in a place where we need as many engineers as possible. Like because you look at a guy like Elon Musk, he's working on the robotic project, which is going to be removing a lot of the labor force, or rather replacing the labor force
Yeah.
with humanoid robots, which is then going
Yes.
to create just not only like some abundance for the world, but then it's going to require engineers, and more people on the tech side to be maintaining these programs and whatnot. So, yeah,
My nephew is very involved in AI and artificial intelligence, and he just created a spectacular platform and company that's totally involved in artificial intelligence. And he just got back from
whoa,
Cannes, being one of a select like 4 or 5 that were invited from the United States to go to Cannes to be one of the speakers on stage talking about artificial intelligence, as well as the company that he created himself, which he was one of those kids that was in his room. They'd have to slip the food under the door, because he'd be in there working and
oh my
and
gosh,
building and creating, and
wow,
it's come to fruition.
workaholic.
And the artificial intelligence world too, which is a whole new thing, and developing things to make life easier for law enforcement, healthcare, the educational system, the arts, really.
That's
For
amazing.
all
That's
of it.
amazing.
The
Yeah. I
world
mean,
is spinning
yeah.
fast. Yeah.
Yeah, that technology is going to be insanely helpful. I know that I think Disney, if I'm correct, might be using some of that tech in The Void. And so I don't know if people know what The Void is, but what it is, it's a soundstage that is just completely coated in like a 360-degree LED panels. And these LED panels, what they can do is they can project the background of the film set. So instead of having to shoot, like let's say, like for a show like The Mandalorian, sometimes they'll shoot like a scene at night where it's like, or dusk, right? Like right at sunset. Well, you can have sunset as long as you want. You could have sunset running for like 7 days straight and just be sitting in that stage. So that technology also, from what I understand, relies on some AI tech to help, because what happens is you get this parallax effect between, if you have the actors here and then the camera is here, well, the background is going to get this like parallax thing. So from what I understand, the gaming engine that programs that is also uses some AI algorithms. Could be wrong about that, but that's what I heard. And I think technology like that is going to become even more abundant, and probably, hopefully, even more affordable for filmmakers, because it solves a lot of logistic problems. For example, like, I mean, just that you can't, like, the sun is only at sunset for like what, like you got that golden hour,
Yeah.
and even
You're
at
up
that, it's
against it.
moving. It's like you
Right.
can freeze the sun. You can freeze the sun, and it's going to be there all day for you to shoot. And
Yeah.
but I think the coolest part of it, from like a cinematographer standpoint, is then you get reflections on skin, on metal, on
Mhm.
different types of objects that are natural to the environment, because the old school way, and it's crazy to say this, but the old school way with green screens is you swap out the background and then you would have to put any kind of reflections in post. Well, here, all
Right.
those reflections are happening because you are literally in the environment.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I think AI is going to help like not only the world, but it's going to change the face of every industry, including entertainment.
Exactly. I think I heard you slip in algorithm. Cha-ching, cha-ching.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yes.
You're gonna make at least $7 tonight.
Totally. Yeah, got that algorithm in.
That's it. That's it. This was really amazing. A fantastic, like I said, we don't call these interviews here. These are conversations, really
Conversations.
good,
Yeah.
solid conversations. The Lovities have been commenting throughout the
Yeah,
show,
it's so funny.
loving
I've
it.
been watching it, and I've been seeing it
Kathleen
like I have
says,
my phone going. Thank you
Thank
for
you for
being
being
here,
here, David.
David.
It's nice to meet you. And you want to read it? Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and learn more about you. Good luck with all you do. Welcome to our Lovity family. I could not feel more welcome to the Lovity family. David, you're an amazing guest. Love meeting you. Thank you, Meryl Freiberg, or is it
Yeah.
Freeberg or Freiberg?
In Canada. Yeah.
In Canada. David, this has been an epic conversation. You have had an amazing ride so far, and my wish for you is that your star continues to rise. You these
Nice.
Lovities, what are you guys trying to do? Make me cry? Like,
Jane is
you're
watching
so
where it's
sweet.
like 3 a.m. in Sweden. She's always here. She never misses
Wow,
an
Jane,
episode because we
Jane,
start, the
bless you. Thank you
episodes.
so much.
We start at like 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific generally,
Wow.
but she's here all the time. And they all are, and the ones that watch
Wow.
quietly that don't, comment live. But
Yeah, that
good
is a
stuff.
beautiful thing. That's a
Yeah,
beautiful thing. I love your Lovity fans, your Lovity. You know what? I should say Lovity family, because
yeah,
it's
that's what they are.
clearly a family. Yeah.
Absolutely. This was awesome,
Yeah.
my friend. Let's definitely stay in
Thank
touch.
you.
I would love that.
Yeah.
And I say to all the guests, we'll keep the porch light on for you. Good luck with
Ah,
everything. Safe flight
thank
to
you.
Atlanta
Thank you.
tomorrow at 6 a.m., bright and early. And
Right.
spread the word about the Jim Master Show Live. We would love that.
I
If you know of other
definitely
folks
will.
you think would like to pop on and
Yes.
experience all this, it'd be really cool. And
And again, congrats on your 2-year anniversary. What?
oh
What?
God, almost 700 episodes.
700 episodes.
In
That's
2
right.
years,
That's
could
right.
you imagine? I know some
It's
television shows it takes 10 years to get
Yeah. I
to
mean, that
7.
is a huge, Jim. That's a huge accomplishment. That's super impressive. I think, that's really cool.
Appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I thought, wait. Oh, with the left.
Oh,
Yeah. Left.
yes.
Left. Yeah, 'cause
Now,
we're
do you
both lefties.
normally do it with the right?
It's
That's
funny.
interesting, 'cause I'm
Yeah,
doing it
that
with
is
the
interesting.
left, yeah.
Well, I think on my screen, for whatever, it seemed correct to go with my right. That way
Yeah.
it would like connect better. But I think I do try and go with the left. Yeah. Yeah. And actually, a little tip that I have, I used to be a chronic high five misser, right? Like you go for a high five and you completely miss. Evidently, and this is, someone had to teach this to me, but what you do is you look for their elbow and you aim for the elbow and you always land. So,
There's a
I'm
tip.
glad people got to learn something important today.
I was gonna say, we even provide tips. Merlin says you're now a Lovity. Yep. Mhm.
Thank you, Merle.
Such a fun
Uh,
show. Thanks, David and Jim. Well, I'd say
Thank
to
you,
all the
Jane.
guests, I say you can get Tonys, Emmys, Grammys, Oscars, Peabodys, all of those fantastic awards. But when you get designated a Lovity on the Jim Masters Show Live,
Oh,
are your feet tingling right now?
yes,
Usually with
my entire
whole
body
body
is
is.
tingling. Are you kidding me? I'm getting like tunnel vision right now. I can barely see.
That's
My whole body is just like uncontrollable.
that's
Yeah. No, I digress. Really, no, that means a lot, and I really appreciate the Lovity family welcoming me in. So thank you for
my
having me.
pleasure.
It's
It
been
was
a blast.
awesome.
These 2
Absolutely.
hours and 8 minutes and
Could you
and
imagine
5
that?
seconds have flown by.
That's what
Yeah.
every guest says. It never feels like it. And we
Yeah.
say to all the guests, you can come on for as long as you want. We won't rush you if it's flowing and we're having an awesome
Yeah.
conversation, kind of like Carson and Cavett and some of the old school.
Yeah.
Well, let's let it roll.
Totally.
And sometimes when that happens, no questions that are pre-prepared, no teleprompter, no scripts, magic
that.
happens, and you get
I
these
love that.
fabulous gem of
Yeah.
moments. So I think it's cool
Well,
stuff.
I got to give a shout out to whoever is controlling, and if this is you, Jim, like amazing. Whoever is controlling that's Jim controlling, like you're keeping it interesting with the camera angles and the different backgrounds and the references, the reference photos and videos. Been crushing it. like keeping it entertained. It's like I've been entertained just like watching him do that, and the logo just popped on. So it's like, yeah, killing it. And it's like to be able to do that while continuing a conversation is like super cool to be able to multitask. And it's like, yeah, I had no idea. I figured like, oh, that must be like there must be a
10
tech
other
guy,
people,
somebody,
right?
yeah, somebody who looks just like me on the other end, being like, okay, and boom. Boom, but it's you. I'm looking right at him.
My father,
So
as I say
amazing.
multiple times on this show and off the air, my father has always said, whenever anybody says something kind and nice to you, ask them to please put it in writing and address it management.
I will do just that.
That's it.
I'll
And it'll
handwrite it
cycle
too.
right
So.
back here.
Oh yeah. Do I have to put postage on it, or is it or I could just maybe
You
you know
could,
what? I'll bring it when we go surfing. I'll bring the
then you'll
handwritten
just
out.
bring
Yeah.
it. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you can put a message in the bottle and maybe it'll go through the Panama
Oh,
Canal and come up
right,
the
make
East
it spray.
Coast.
Yeah, very cool.
That's
That would be fun to try.
That would be amazing, right? And then somebody in Japan gets it and says, "What?"
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This
Well,
was
let me know
awesome.
if you do receive it, because I'll be waiting.
Yes.
I'll put a little GPS tracker inside so I can. So if I see it gets close to you, I'll be like, hey Jim, the
That's
bottle.
Did you get it?
Did you get it? Yeah.
That is funny. You're the best. It was awesome, my friend. And again, I really hope you enjoyed the time with me as much as I have with you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thanks so much. I
Yeah,
appreciate
you are
your
very
time
welcome.
and having me on me, having me on.
Having you
Did
on
I
me.
think yeah. Having me on me. I think I said that wrong. I think that came out, my tongue got twisted. But no, I really appreciate it. This has been so much fun, and it's been a blast getting to know you and your audience too. So thank you.
Absolutely, my friend. You take care, all right? And you be well.
All right.
Safe trip to Atlanta. And we
Thank you
will
so
have you
much.
back on. You're always welcome, my friend.
Muchas gracias. Thank you.
You're
Thank
very
you so
welcome.
much.
Take care. Cheers.
All right. Take care,
Bye.
guys. Bye.
David Lautman here on the Jim Masters Show live. Did you guys enjoy it? Of course you did. You've been commenting throughout the entire evening, which I think is really, really cool. If you'd like to see this episode again, you can right here on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. We love that. Now, if you really enjoyed this episode big time, then make sure you give it a like. On the YouTube channel, there's a big thumbs up icon. Leave a comment on the channel. Drop a comment for us as well. And don't forget as well, if you have not yet, hit that button, that magic red button there, the subscribe button. There's no cost for it. Don't know why they call it subscribe, because there's no cost, but it allows us to know that you're a part of the Lovity family. You're enjoying all these incredible, iconic episodes with all these extraordinary guests. And we appreciate David joining us here, considering, as he mentioned, he is on a flight to Atlanta, Georgia for a big TV project coming up. And he's on that flight from LA at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, which is really amazing. I know you guys follow my work too, and it sounds very much like my crazy schedule as well. But that is the nature of these industries. You got to run and jump and do, and that's what drives you too. Star of General Hospital, on Hunters on Prime, and Angeline, Car Gurus, and lots more before, during, and after all of that. David Lautman here on the Jim Master Show Live shared some exclusive things on the show too with you. And we had an epic conversation. You had an opportunity right here on the Jim Masters Show to learn a little bit more about him. Maybe you do see him on General Hospital. You've seen him in lots of commercials. You've seen him in all kinds of different productions. And you're saying to yourself, gee, I wonder how he got started. I wonder what he's all about. What is, who is the guy that I see on the tube? Now you get to enjoy knowing a little bit more about our special guest, David Lautman. And that's what it's like here on the Jim Masters Show Live. We always have a good time. As I say, we don't put any time limit on these shows. We have guests that come in from all walks of life, all different backgrounds, not just acting or music or theater. It's really everything, all of life. We've had motivational speakers on. We've had chefs on. We've had sports stars, comedians, mediums, authors. Everyone is welcome here on the show. And that is variety, a true variety talk show. And that's what I love. Coming tomorrow live from Las Vegas. Wow, what an epic show this will be with a legendary comedian, extraordinary Joan Rivers impersonator, legendary for that, and actress and singer Barbara Brighton is with us tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Then on Tuesday, Daryl Purpose is here, and he's extraordinary. Famed fingerstyle guitarist, written lots of music for a lot of major people, singer, songwriter, and on top of all of that incredible career, he's a world-renowned blackjack player. Yes, he's actually in the Blackjack Hall of Fame. He's with us Tuesday. Lucy Arnaz joins us on Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Dear friend, actress, singer, and of course, daughter of Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz. She is an extraordinary talent herself. She's on tour, and we're going to share some great conversation with Lucy coming up on Wednesday. Once again, we thank David for joining us here on the Jim Masters Show Live. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Do leave us a comment on our YouTube channel. We would love that. Drop a comment on the YouTube channel. Give it a thumbs up. And when you do that, it also allows YouTube to talk about algorithms. YouTube sees that and then blasts the episode out even further to more people when you leave a comment on the YouTube channel, when you give it a thumbs up. And some of you have asked, can I share these episodes? There's a share button on our YouTube channel under every episode. Share this episode. Share all the episodes you like with your friends and your family. Just hit the share button on our YouTube channel right underneath the episode. It says share. Share it on your social media, your Facebook pages, Instagram, Twitter, with friends, family, and folks you think would really enjoy and get a kick out of the Jim Masters Show Live series. What a day it's been. I tell you, what a weekend. I've been really busy. As I mentioned, I was on location on Friday, and then we had a show Friday night. I had 5 radio shows Friday, then had a television news shoot with a guest that flew in from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, here to the East Coast. I was in the TV studio Saturday morning. Then we had the show last night. Then today, if you missed it, we had an epic 2.5-hour extraordinary it was breathtaking 2-year anniversary celebration on the Jim Masters Show Live with surprise special guests, lots of video tributes from our guests as well as our lovely viewers. It was really special and touching and a lot of fun. And then just now, David Lotman. You can see this episode and all of the episodes you'd like to enjoy again on our YouTube channel because they are all there, and almost 700 episodes that we have done thus far, which is extraordinary. We really love it. Couple of more comments and then we're going to wrap things up. It is approaching 9:30 almost here on the East Coast of the United States, and we haven't had dinner yet. It's going to be a late night. We're making spaghetti and meatballs. Looking forward to it. It's going to be a little late to eat spaghetti and meatballs, but do we have any Tums available? We're going to be having spaghetti and meatballs at 9:30 at night. But hey, it's been an epic day, hasn't it? So we'll have the spaghetti and meatballs with some nice bread, and I think we still have this. We've had this since 4:00 today. The New York Mets goblet. Can you see the logo in there somewhere? The Mets. Do I got it turned around wrong? There you go. There's the New York Mets. This is what's left in the glass from when we started at 4:00 this afternoon with our anniversary special. This is what's left. Not too bad, huh? Not too bad. And always love a day of levity. Thank you, Kathleen in New York City. Carla, you've been with us all day long, and thank you so very much, Carla. We love it. Looking forward to seeing Lucy Arnaz. Yes, she's amazing. She's on Wednesday. Time to eat something, Jim, then go to sleep. Yes, I may space out the eating and going to sleep so I don't end up twisting and turning tonight. You know, if you eat spaghetti and meatballs and then you go straight to bed, that could be a little risky. That could be a little risky. Thank you, Jane. Mona in Louisiana, in New Orleans. Yummy sounds great. Thank you very much. Relax. Yes, we shall do that. It's been a weekend of vocal cord use to the max with all of you, and lots of cool episodes coming up. We'll keep working hard. If you have guest suggestions, reach out to us at jimmasterstv@gmail.com. Guest suggestions, jimmasterstv@gmail.com. If you want to know about our epic Bermuda Lovity cruise that's coming up. You're hearing everybody talk about it. They're buzzing about it. There's been a lot of interest, which is great. We are excited that we're going to be heading to Bermuda from New York to beautiful Bermuda, which is gorgeous. We've been there several times. It's a phenomenal, phenomenal island, and it's so beautiful. It's only about 600 miles off the coast of North Carolina in the Atlantic. It's stunning. It's got that British influence as well. And we're going in May of next year, so plenty of time to plan. And we've got our travel agency, Panzer, Quinn Panzer Travel. They are handling everything for us. So if you want to know more, shoot us an email at jimmasterstv@gmail.com. jimmasterstv@gmail.com to learn more. 3:30 a.m. for you and Jane. I hope you've had your dinner already. Sue says, Jim, better stay up a while after that meal. I think we'll have to stay up after spaghetti and meatballs. I think you are right. We shall do that. I know. We probably shouldn't have spaghetti and meatballs this late, right? 9:30 at night. But all the fixins are ready to go, and we've been craving it all day. Thank you, Jim. Thank you as well. And Merlin, thank you. And Mona says, nice having two good-looking men on tonight. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Carla says, wow, what a great Sunday. Success always and ever, Jim. More years to come. You are the best. Honored for being here today. To congrats for this amazing show. To congrats you for this amazing show. Thank you very much, Carla. They're in beautiful South America and Brazil. And David had a great time. There he is. Thanks for having me. So much love to the Lovely fam. Absolutely, David. It was awesome having you here. New friend made. You know, that's what happens. A lot of the guests, they come on, and whether I already know them through my work on television and I invite them to come on, maybe I've interviewed them on TV before and they pop on, they want to come back. And then folks that are brought our way or that, you know, we find, what have you, however it works, we all become friends and everybody wants to come back on the show, or, you know, we break bread elsewhere. And welcome back, absolutely. And Mona as well. And okay, Jim, go stretch those legs. And for crying out loud, eat something. Coming from the nurse, crying out loud, eat something. I shall do that. Your wish is my command. Once again, happy 2-year lovely-versary to you and your incredible team. You are so appreciated. Thank you very much from Jim Masters and the JMS crew here at the Jim Masters Show Live. Mona says, congrats again, Jim, 2 years. David was very entertaining. Great show tonight. Thanks again. We always have a lot of fun, too, on the Jim Masters Show Live, don't we? The shows go in so many different directions. We just let it roll. And Jane says it's easy to be here all the time because she's retired. Remember, she worked in the airport. She used to have only 1 hour between when our show wrapped up and when she had to be at work there in Sweden, which is several hours ahead of us here on the East Coast of the United States. Lisa says, this was amazing. I can't thank you enough. Thank you, Lisa. Lovely Lisa, for tuning in and watching and being so supportive of what we're doing here at the Jim Masters Show Live series. And Double Lovely, you were with us for our anniversary show and now for this episode as well. And we thank you so much as well. And Jane says we had fish today. Nothing fishy around here. I love fish, actually. I love seafood. Wow. All right. I'm hungry. Well, I think we've earned our supper. We're going to duck out of here. Thanks again for watching the Jim Masters Show. We thank David Lautman one more time. And we thank all of you. Now, as you know, we don't say goodbye here. We say see you later. We say cheers, ciao, slancha, hasta la vista, avida zane, sayonara, shalom, and all the rest. You guys are truly the best. And we thank you for the time, the attention, and all the lovity. All of the lovity. It's been quite a day, and really something special. I can't wait to go back and watch all these episodes too. But I'm so busy doing them that I don't have time to go back. But a couple of times I get a chance, you know, when the show's not on, to look back at all these great shows. Crystal, thank you. You've been with us all day long as well. It's good to see you. And Sue, you've been with us all day long. And anybody who's new, who's watching for the first time, and maybe this is your first experience with the Jim Masters Show Live, Entertainment Lifestyle Variety Talk Show series. We welcome you into our Liberty family, and we thank you for being with us here on the Jim Masters Show Live. And subscribe to that YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. Spread the word about what we're doing here. We would love that. That helps us grow, and grow. And it's really cool. 6 hours ahead of us. That's right. 6 hours ahead. So no spaghetti and meatballs for you. That's way, way too late for you guys. For you, Jane, in Sweden. All right. That's a wrap, gang. That's a bye. We said that earlier. We love you all. Take care of one another. Be well. Be good to one another. Moi loop. Walk well, as we know is what you say in African. And good stuff. So, Jim Masters here. Thanking you for your time this time. Till next time, we'll see you on the next episode of the Jim Masters Show Live. We'll be back tomorrow live, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific for those who are watching live, and for those who are staying right here and watching in the archives, stick around. Another great episode of our series comes up just for you. See you again soon, gang. We love you all. Take care and be well. Thanks for watching this episode of the Jim Masters Show Live. Cheers.